Hello and welcome to another episode of Video Game Logic. Today's show was recorded on July the 12th, 2017. I'm your host, Gaming Psychologist, and with me, as always, my long-lost lover.
Oh my, caffeine rage.
On today's show, we will of course be discussing the mini games that we've played. We'll be going through the aftermath of the Steam sale on our wallets. Jump, the indie streaming service. We'll be discussing that. We'll have our weekly community corner and our Steam weekly discovery queue. As always, timestamps will be in the show notes following the respective topics. Bam, one take after two-ish. It was 2 weeks off, yeah. One take after 2 weeks off and a late recording start.
Maybe you should talk to Aki about this.
Yeah.
I guguess now the Prograde podcast. Even though I'm pretty sure they're anti-normal.
But yeah, thanks those of you who were listening the last couple of weeks. They were Franken episodes, but now we're back for reals. Although we were worried we might have to do a third Franken episode. I came down with a case of the trip crud. I've had a cold the last couple of days, and both of us have had internet issues the last couple of days.
Yeah, my ISP decided, hey, we heard you're protesting net neutrality. Here, let me show you exactly what that would be like.
Yeah, today's Is today the only day that all of the websites are doing the...
As far as I know.
Okay.
And I have to admit that maybe it's just me and the fact that I already know about all this shit. But it's rather annoying that every single site is doing it at the same time.
Yeah.
And I'm a little concerned that they may be off-putting to some people, you know?
Maybe. I don't know. It's hard to say, because, you and I both, and probably everyone, or most of the people who listen to this show, are people who keep up with that sort of stuff. So it's like, yeah, I know. I've already been to the FCC website, and I've called my Congress people, my senators. It's not going to do any good, because I live in a very deeply red state, but... I've already done all those things.
Oh, you live in a red state. Where I live, the Democrats sound like Republicans.
Yeah. Fair enough, but Tennessee's still very, very red. We're like right there on the line between, well, some of the things that policies they propose are at least in line with conservative values, and like these guys are batshit insane. Like we're on the line.
Oh, well, here it's just, how does this impact coal industry?
Yeah, there's not a lot of coal mining in Tennessee. I don't know if there's any. There used to be some. There's a lot of copper mining still in Tennessee, but that's a completely different industry. Although there are similarities.
Yeah, and unfortunately we missed 7-Eleven Day.
Yeah, we did, although there's no 7-Elevens near where I live, so it doesn't matter anyways.
Well, there is one where I live. But, yeah, a 7-Eleven was a part-time job anyway.
I've never been to a 7-Eleven. There aren't any where I live, and I don't know if I've ever been on a trip anywhere to where one was, or if there was, I just didn't think about it.
Oh, road trip time.
Maybe when we go to Kyle's wedding, we'll take the train. We'll all take the train to Kyle's wedding, and then we'll go find a 7-Eleven. Get Slurpees.
Oh, wait a minute. Define Slurpee.
Well, goes something like.
Oh my! But the fun part is, if you meet up where I live, there is a 7-Eleven right there.
Well. There's trains that go past your house. Somehow we'll hobo on one of them to your place, and we can go to the 7-Eleven.
I think we have our road trip all set. Well, railroad trip, I guess I should say.
Are there any passenger trains that come through your town?
Yes, and it goes directly to Chicago.
Okay, so yeah, then it's not even that hard. We'll just take one of the normal trains. Don't have to sneak a ride on a freight train. By the way, welcome to the rail portion of the podcast.
Freight train? You mean coal train, right?
Is there no other freight that comes through?
It's pretty much just either tanker trucks or tanker cars, or just cars full of coal. It's rare to see a just a boxed cargo train car.
Well, alrighty then.
And I'm sure you're loving this talk, but I doubt our audience is.
Yeah, I was gonna say, speaking of trains, I was on a train and played a lot of games on the train. That's my new favorite way to travel, is by train. It's the coach sections on passenger cars are as nice as first class on a plane, and we had a sleeper car for one of the legs of our trip, and that's just a little mobile hotel. We had a shower and beds and everything. It was legit. So I never want to travel by anything other than rail ever again.
So it's a mobile hobo hotel.
Pretty much. I had internet that was better than Kyle's internet, which I know that's not a high bar, but it's great.
Very true.
It's great.
Hell, when my internet was getting all spotty and dropping, it was still better than Kyle's internet.
Sick burn, Kyle. Take that. Oh, but speaking of games, we've got a lot of them to talk about this week.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we are right after the Steam Summer Sale. We have had 2 weeks of just playing games. Yeah, it's going to be game-heavy this week with some news, at least one news topic.
Yeah, so do you want to, since we both have 7 games on our games list, do you want to alternate this week? Okay.
Yeah, let's do it differently. Okay, well, my first thing on my list is not a game. What I have is a game manager trying to make sense of the chaos that is my Steam library, the Depressurizer tool. What this is, it's a open source organizer for the Steam library, and what it does is it goes in and edits the save files or the config files for Steam to actually bring some order to chaos. And it is absolutely fucking useless.
Okay.
Well, I should say absolutely useless on 2 counts for me. One, my library is just too big, and it was trying to make a category that had over 500 games in it. Little, overkill there, huh?
Yeah.
And second of all, the way it categorizes games is doomed to fail with how Valve just handles the Steam library or the Steam store, is that it goes off of Steam store tags. You could see where this failing is coming from already, can't you?
Yeah, because of all of we've complained for what feels like years at this point about how terrible the tagging system is.
Well, let's just put it this way. It gave me a psychological horror category that had practically anything in it.
Nice.
And it was utterly, utterly shit. And it's one of those things that I think the only way that you could actually fix this is to have a group go in to a centralized library for the Depressurizer tool and set actual tags for these games, because there is just no way to do it on how the Steam store does it, and it's just incredibly frustrating because a tool like this could be useful, and I'm sure that if I let it just run the Steam store tags, and thankfully it doesn't automatically save to my profile, so it's all giving me this nice preview window to see just how it's fucked things up before I save it. If they have it where there's a dedicated group that goes in and says, okay, well, My Little Pony isn't psychological horror. Granted, I don't have My Little Pony game, but it's the same idea. All the pony games aren't psychological horrors. The bullshit sticker pack for CSGO isn't psychological horror. It's not family friendly. It's not point and click. It's not humor. It's okay, maybe it's memes, but still. It's just one of those things that is just incredibly frustrating trying to sort all through this. And I guess the only way I'm going to be able to do this is do it manually. And my unorganized library is somewhere at 900 to 1,000 games right now and growing. So it's a rather daunting task. But who knows? Maybe I'll actually find something in there worth playing.
I'm so tempted to buy Pony World 2 for you because it's like $2.
Oh, no.
So tempted. I don't think I'm going to, though. There was one person today played Pony World. Oh my gosh. Or Pony World 2. The original Pony World is not on Steam. Just Pony World 2 and 3.
Actually, if I type in the word pony in my library, nothing comes up.
Yeah, I can see that. You don't own this on the store page.
No. I mean, in my complete library.
Well, how many games are named Pony anything?
Pony Island is actually supposed to be really good.
Yeah, Pony World 2 and 3. Pony Island.
3 is just the pinnacle of the series because, Pony World 2, they kind of dumbed down some of the mechanics and they made it a very open to newcomers, but they kind of just... where did we get from?
Secret of the Magic Crystals. It doesn't have pony in the title, but it's all about horses. I actually own this game. I think I bought it for 99 cents a couple of years ago on the Steam sale. I played it for a little bit, and it's a terrible game.
You probably got it from cards or just because it had Pretty Princess in it.
I got it because it had pretty ponies on it. Oh. Memories. All right. How did we get here?
My rant about the Steam store and it screwing up a otherwise useful tool.
Right. Back to that.
Yeah, it's just incredibly frustrating to have to do everything manually. Oh. And I was pretty much winding down whenever you started looking at pony stuff. Do you want to continue looking at ponies? Or are you going to go back in time and buy the high-quality horse genitals whenever they were doing the Steam paid mods?
Yeah, absolutely. I think I've actually got that mod, though. I'm pretty sure I do. Oh.
You do realize when they talk about putting tits in a video game with mods, they don't mean on the horses, right?
Well, they should. And we will do that to my first game, which is The Division. I talked at length about The Division the last time, but the one portion of the game that I hadn't done yet because I was too low level was the Dark Zone. Well, I guess I also still haven't done that like survival mode or whatever.
Yeah, honestly, the survival mode looked interesting to me, but it's probably one of those... It's one of those things that looks interesting, but I'm not sure if I would want to play. Yeah, sort of like Eve or pretty much any of the Battle Royale games. It looks interesting, but I'm not sure if I want to dedicate, that much time to something that has moments that are kind of fun, but then there's just so much downtime.
I'll check it out at some point, because, I'm still playing The Division a lot. I'm trying to power level, because while I was gone on my trip, I actually tried to play it on my laptop, and that was a disaster. I got 14 FPS with all of the graphics turned down to minimum, and my screen resolution set to the lowest setting that's available in the options, while I was just staring at a wall. I got 14 FPS.
Oh, while you're total biscuiting a wall.
Yeah, pretty much.
Complaining about the resolution of the low quality textures.
But so everyone has got now. I'm behind, so I'm trying to power level. But I did do some Dark Zone stuff with Ghost Shark, and I didn't think I was gonna like the Dark Zone because I don't care about PvP in these types of games. I love the looter shooter and hanging out with your friends and that sort of stuff, and I could take or could just leave the PvP aspects. But the Dark Zone is done really well, and it's actually a lot of fun. And you really have to work together with your teammates or at least a partner. There's no way that you could go in there by yourself and last for very long. Even if you were able to kill the higher level, more elite enemies, if you're by yourself, you're a target for groups of people to pick off and steal their stuff. So
yeah, that's one thing that I think was kind of a failing on their E3 presentation, because they were talking about the possibility of betrayal, but honestly, most of the time you're going into these zones with people that you know pretty damn well. You're not going to go in with randoms, I think, very often.
Yeah.
And
No.
it's classified as a dick move to screw over your friends like that.
Yeah. I mean, I like whenever we play and we're just doing like missions and stuff in the PvE section, like we'll joke around and shoot each other and stuff because you can't hurt anybody. But as soon as Ghost and I were in the dark zone, like all of that stopped, and it's like, okay, we're working together as a team to kill these elite enemies and get good loot. And there was an agent who went rogue, and so we tracked him down and killed him to get his stuff.
And then there was one that got red, and he went rouge.
Yeah. And we got to... So you can only carry so much Dark Zone loot, and then the thing is, it's like you have to extract the loot, because it has to go be decontaminated, because the Dark Zone...
They have to get all the cooties off of it.
Yeah, because the area of the Dark Zone is supposed to be like ground zero, basically, for the
dollar
infection, the dollar flu. So...
Yeah, which like, ended up you caught it this week.
I did. I did that.
You shouldn't go lick George.
But anyways, it's just a lot of fun. It really like completely changes the game. I mean, even in the main missions, there are certain times where it's like, okay, these enemies are really tough. We got to work together, and the game takes on a different dynamic. But when it's that all the time, the game it's just flipped on its head, and it's a lot of fun. And kind of constantly looking over your shoulder whenever another player turns up is like, is this guy gonna kill us? Like, we should hang back and be careful. We should wait. We should like check this out, see what he's doing. Especially the solo players. Like, we didn't worry too much about groups. Like, if a group was going to attack us, we were probably going to get killed anyways because it was just two of us, and, you know, there'd be like 3 or 4 people running around. But if it's just like one dude, like, is he going to go AWOL? Is he going to attack us? What's going on? So that's a lot of fun. Plus, they do a really good job of instancing it and walling off the higher difficulty areas. I mean, you can, if you really want to, stumble into an area that's several levels above you. But when it comes to, like, your level versus other players, they've got very tight level separation. So it's like there's like the baby dark zone, which you can get access to at level 10, but level 15 is when you actually start seeing the tight divisions and the tight level groupings and stuff, so that you don't get matched up against people who are going to be like 5 levels above you. So, and it's you can get some good loot too. We went in at level 15. And usually whenever you get a gun, unless you just get really lucky with like a good drop, your guns are only useful for your current level and like 1 level above you. But I picked up this gun in the Dark Zone, and I'm now level 18, and it's still better than stuff I'm finding at my current level. So it's a good way to get gear in kind of the mid-game, because you can buy higher leveled stuff, like from the special things you unlock in your base, like you can buy advanced weapons and stuff like that. But there's no point, because in another level or two, they'll be useless, and you will have just wasted all of your money.
Yeah, it's like that in a game I'm going to talk about, where you really only want to buy stuff if you're at a very high level where your level of progression slows down a lot, or if you desperately need something of that type.
Yeah, I'm thinking probably around level 24, 25 is when I might start buying gear from like the advanced gear vendor, and just save all my money until then. Sniper rifles are about the only thing that I would think you would want to buy to carry over, because they're, as long as you can get consistent headshots, they're useful for a couple levels above whatever their weapon level is, just because they get such a huge bonus to headshot damage. But
it also depends on just how good the sniper is, because if I recall correctly, whenever I tried it on a free weekend, I got some snipers that would shoot anywhere but the reticule.
Yeah, there's different weapons. They have several weapons classified as sniper rifles that I'm not actually sure are sniper rifles, but for the most part, if you get like the SVD or
this has a scope on it, we'll just call it a sniper.
I think they do that with a few guns. I'm pretty sure the sniper I have is actually an assault rifle, but it has a sniper scope on it, so it's classified as a marksman rifle. Actually, I'm not. It's the ACR. Just do a quick Google search.
And welcome to the gun portion of the podcast.
Yeah, it's an assault rifle, but it's considered a marksman's rifle because it's got. When I found it, it had a scope on it, so whatever, it's fine. Doesn't matter. Video game logic.
Ding,
ding. So yeah, that's the Division. I played it for a little bit before we recorded the podcast. I might play it for a little bit afterwards while I'm waiting on your file to get to me before I can edit.
Oh my, you're going to be up waiting for me?
I might be. I don't know. We'll see what time we get done. All right, I think it's your turn.
Okay, so I have a failed Sunday sampler up next. Flying Tigers, Shadows over China. This is a World War II flight sim, and oh, dear God, does it handle poorly. And it's mostly due to how they handle both the gamepad and the mouse, because typically these flight sims, they have a mode where you can do an emulated flight stick, or usually it's more aim where you want to go, sort of like how War Thunder does it.
Right.
And the dead zone for the emulated flight stick is non-existent. So I'm constantly drifting off center, which makes flying on any mission where I have to do some sort of strafing run very difficult. And the gamepad, well, I'm able to fly a lot better with the gamepad, but the problem I had with that is that there's aim assist in this game. I mean, a ludicrous level of aim assist, where I would think that it was some sort of first-person shooter, even though it's not. So I'm trying to do a mission where I have to save a bomber, and it keeps switching away from the damaged targets. So you can imagine what happened.
Yeah, that's frustrating.
Yeah, and I just got to the point where I just didn't want to play it. And, and this was also going to be the Sunday sampler in the week where I had my surgery, which, hey, spoiler, survived my surgery, by the way.
Yay. Why is there aim assist on a flight game? I mean, your aim assist is basically like, hey, here's the reticle you shoot at to lead your target. I have
no idea. There was a good, I would say, 10 degrees of aim assist off center. I mean, it was just a huge amount, and it seemed like it was completely random on what it was locking onto. Granted, maybe there's a way to turn it off if I dove deep enough into the options menu. But, yeah. That, and also, there was a lot of, for this being a simulator, there was a lot of moves that are automated for a particular button. Like doing a barrel roll or aileron roll, depending on how much you care about Star Fox terminology, is set to one button instead of having your rotation or your yaw. Be able to properly do it with a combination of those. You have to press a button to do it. And I had trouble even performing a simple loop because it kept wanting to prevent me from doing that unless I pressed the button to do that. And on top of that, it seemed like the camera didn't want to follow the airplane correctly. So there was a couple times where I would perform a half loop to turn over and to make a quick secondary run on a target. And I would go completely off center because the camera would be stuck on the front of my aircraft for a short time. Then it's like, oh wait, you're flying towards the camera. Let me swap around. And by then, it's pointless to even do that type of move.
Right. Doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. That said, I do like that this is this focuses on a lesser known aspect of the Pacific theater. Of just the air war in China, which is not something you see too often. But that said, if the game doesn't play that well, it's kind of pointless.
Yeah, it's got really high positive reviews.
Well, maybe I just have a higher expectation, but then again, this is also 350 reviews, so it's not a lot.
I wonder if you actually had a real flight stick, if that would have made it better.
Maybe, because I tried it with my gamepad and I tried it with my mouse and keyboard.
Yeah. This person here says it's like playing a World War II version of Ace Combat.
Oh, well, they just sold it to you, huh?
I mean, it's been on my wish list for a while.
What has it been on your wish list for a while? Not counting anything that released this week.
What was that pony game that I just looked up? That wasn't on my wish list. I didn't know it existed until 10 minutes ago.
And sorry, Mills, for peeking the microphone there.
My Little Pony.
But yeah, it's just really disappointing because if a flight game doesn't handle correctly or handle well, or maybe it's just I didn't have the patience to work out just how it handles. It felt like they couldn't figure out if they wanted to do a sim or a arcade flight game. And they had this weird middle ground in between where, a lot of moves were, or a lot of aerial stunts were assigned to face buttons. And also there was this weird thing where if you held a particular button on the gamepad, you would turn a lot faster, but it blurred the screen and made it so that the camera was tough to keep up. So I kept overshooting when I would use that as well, and they expected you to use that. And also, everything was very bullet spongy, which was, kind of makes me wonder, where they're trying to go with this.
Yeah, that seems more arcadey. Because, there were planes that could soak tons of damage, but for the most
they were
part,
known as bombers.
Yeah, but for the most part, fighter planes could not.
Yeah, the bomber mission that I was talking about, where I was trying to, destroy enemy aircraft that were attacking a bomber group. They would take, a good 10-15 seconds each to kill. And that's before Lock-On started saying, you don't need to kill that guy that has less than a quarter health. Here, check out this guy that has full health. Look at him.
Yeah.
I'm sure there was probably a way to turn off the aim assist, but I was already annoyed with the game.
Yeah.
Or maybe it's just I'm a grump.
Yeah, maybe a little bit of both. Okie dokie. Well, does that mean it's my turn?
Yep.
So the next game on my list is Supreme Commander. When I talked last time about Planetary Annihilation Titans, I said, playing this game makes me want to go back and play Supreme Commander, which was the first game that many of the devs from Planetary Annihilation, or a previous game, I don't know if it was their first game, but a previous game that many of those devs had worked on. And so I did. It's thankfully like 5 or 6 years older than my laptop, so even though it's a real-time strategy game with tons of stuff going on, my laptop can still keep up and maintain a pretty solid 60 FPS. If you really throw a bunch of stuff at it, it would drop down to 35 or 40, but...
Yeah, isn't Supreme Commander one of the few games that has a second screen experience on PC?
It does?
I think it has it where if you have more than one screen, it will have a general overview of the map.
I should check that out. I could rig it up and just take a look at it. Because on one screen, you've got kind of this map, or the bottom quarter of your screen is all of your interface stuff, and the map up top is very separate. Like the way it's designed makes it seem like you're sitting in a command chair, and then below you is all of your stuff, and then the screen in front of you is what you're looking at.
Yeah, the second screen experience on Supreme Commander has the main map.
Oh.
It's actually one of the few games that has a second screen experience.
That would be interesting. Might have to check that out.
Granted, I'm just searching Supreme Commander and it's coming up. I'm not sure if it's... Yeah, it looks like it's the first Supreme Commander that's doing this.
Okay. Cool. I might have to rig that up and check it out and see how well it works, because I can just move my monitor that's hooked up to my my render PC over a little bit so I could see them both. But anyways, yeah, Supreme Commander. I've forgotten how good of a game that this is. And also, did strategy games get easier, or were older games just more obtuse, or were did the AI cheat a lot more?
Well, I think the real-time strategy genre, it's a lot of quality of life stuff. A single button that shows you all your auto workers, for example, and exactly where they are, and you could click it to get them all.
Well, that's in Supreme Commander, though.
Yeah. Just I'm using that as an example, or also just a general. I hate using the word simplification, but I do think that real-time strategy has simplified a fair amount since Supreme Commander, because I have played Supreme Commander, and I've toyed around with some of StarCraft, and they're two very, very different games for the same genre.
Yeah, the menus are pretty obtuse. I feel like things take a lot more clicks than they should, for the most part, and control groups are wonky. I actually have no idea how to delete a control group other than to get everything in it destroyed.
I think it's just a combination of Supreme Commander being a unique game to begin with, because there's not a lot of... I would almost call it a grand strategy RTS, because it is just that huge of scope.
Yeah. So, for anybody who doesn't know, Supreme Commander, it is a real-time strategy game, but it does give you a lot larger maps than most traditional real-time strategy games, and you have a lot more ways to tackle your objectives in career mode or in campaign mode, and then the multiplayer maps are just ginormous.
And it's also one of the few RTS that has a proper navy and a proper air force. I mean, not just, here's a couple units. I mean, a full, essentially, assortment of aircraft and boats.
Yeah, each of
the factions has their own units as well.
Yeah, they're all completely unique, and while they serve the same function, like every faction has an air superiority fighter, for example, but they are all vastly different in the way that they handle. The Earth, what is I think it's UEF, the United Earth Forces, are kind of like your very traditional RTS style gameplay. They have a lot of tanks, a lot of missile-based weapons, stuff like that. Then there's the Aeon, I think they're called the Aeon, which are like the only faction of humans that found an alien race in lore. So they have like some very interesting alien technology that the other factions don't have. And they have like instead of building units, they grow them from like liquid metal. So their production is works a little bit differently than the other units, and they have a lot of laser-based.
Yeah, and isn't there
technology.
Also essentially a analog for the Protoss where they have to have an energy grid or some sort of energy production, or is that in Supreme Commander 2?
I think that might be. I mean, everybody has energy production in Supreme Commander.
I mean, building an energy grid and powering your units, or your base units, or maybe I'm just thinking of something else.
No, that's not in Supreme Commander. I haven't played Supreme Commander 2 or whatever the big expansion is for it. Like, I own it, but I haven't played it. It might be in that. I'm drawing a blank on the other faction, but they're like AI cyborg people.
Maybe that's
They also have very different units. They have a lot of more like swarm-based drone-type units and things like that. So each of the factions play completely differently. All of their super weapons are completely different, except for nukes. Like, everybody gets nukes, but it's just a really solid, well-balanced strategy game that each of the factions, you can tackle their problems uniquely. And it's the first one of these games that had like the big commander unit that you could control and customize and move around on the battlefield. I love the way that it handles the economy, which Planetary Annihilation does this as well. I mean, they just lifted that system whole cloth from Supreme Commander, but instead of having to worry about, like, for example, in Command & Conquer, where you have to send out miners to mine resources and bring them back to your base, you just build, there's certain points on the map where you can build, they're called mass extractors, or you can build mass generators, which directly convert energy to metal, and then you just build power plants. And you have a constant stream of resources incoming, and it's all about maximizing the efficiency of your economy. So you can just set your factories to constantly auto-build either a specific unit, or you can set up, like, I want 5 of this and 5 of that, and then I want you to repeat that cycle over and over and over again for forever. And so you're just trying to outspend and outbuild your opponent. Turtling is not very effective in Supreme Commander, just because there's so much shit that can come at you from so many directions. It's just a great strategy game. It's great. In my opinion, it's better than Planetary Annihilation. There's a ton of stuff going on, but it all feels manageable. Planetary Annihilation is incredibly overwhelming, and I'm sure you get used to it if you played it for enough. I've played it for like 7 or 8 hours, and it's like, okay, I've got the ground, and then I've got air, and then I've got space, and then I've got interstellar space, and also these planets are spherical, and the camera's weird, and it's like, oh my gosh, where do I need to go over here, and I'm on this other planet.
And suddenly Kyle's crashing a moon to your planet.
Yeah, suddenly my planet's getting a moon crashed into it and exploding. Well, I'm dead now. And Supreme Commander, the maps are huge and there's tons of stuff going on, but you can just pull out and be like, okay, what's going on? Where am I? Okay, over here, over there. Got it. Boom, let's do this. So, it's a good, solid game, and the gameplay holds up well. It feels more, like I said, it feels more difficult than newer strategy games, and that could be down to just, it is older. It's not as simplified as more modern strategy games are.
Yeah, and maybe a little bit unfair to call modern strategy games simplified, but streamlined may be a better term for it.
Yeah, it feels less streamlined. It also, I mean, the AI may rely on cheating a little bit. I'm not 100% sure. I mostly was just playing through the campaign missions. I did a couple of skirmishes.
Yeah, there was a couple of campaign missions early on where you would set up to defend from one direction, then the map shifts to a completely different direction.
Yeah.
And that was kind of a dick move.
Yeah. But like, I played a couple of the multiplayer maps because it's like, I just want to play on this 80 by 80 kilometer square map because why not? So, it's good. Fun game. Glad that I played it. I've only completed the first, the UEF campaign, and then I started the second campaign, which was I think they're called Cybrans. Now that I think it's Cybran, is the cyborg people. I started their campaign, played a couple of skirmish missions. I was without internet for good chunks of this trip because it was pretty bad at the first place that we stayed at, and then better at the second place that we were at, but still not great. So it says I only played like 5 hours.
How was it compared to Kyle's?
At the condo that we were at, it was worse than Kyle's internet.
Ooh.
And it was really sporadic too. Like occasionally you'd go to do something and it's like, wow, this is working really well. I can watch this video on YouTube actually. But most of the time it was like, nope. Like less than 1 megabit per second.
Yeah.
I think that, I mean, there were over like 500 condos at this complex that we were at.
Oh, well, there's your problem.
And I'm pretty sure that they didn't, like, they were expecting most people to go hang out at the beach and the bars, so they didn't have good internet.
All 500 condos are on one cable modem, and they don't even spring for the big package.
I really hope they didn't do that, but it was so bad, I wouldn't be surprised. There was one day that we were pulling like 80 megabits a second for like an hour. I don't know what happened. I think everybody must have like been asleep, and I was the only one using the internet at that time. But that lasted for about an hour.
So it would have worked well for me since I'm up at night anyway.
Yeah, but yeah, Supreme Commander, good game, good game. Gonna keep playing it. Probably just keep it on my laptop. It's one of the few games that I really, really, really enjoy that works on my laptop nowadays. So. Hooray!
Yay.
I really need a new laptop. I've been eyeing up Newegg.
I need to get one myself, but I could probably repair mine. It's just tearing it apart, and that's a little more than what I want to deal with right now.
Yeah, maybe next year. I want my next investment to be in a better monitor, something that's got a 90 hertz or higher refresh rate.
No, that's going to hurt your wallet.
Yeah, you can get some pretty decent deals as long as you stay at 1080p, which I probably won't go over because I'd rather have the frame rate than bump up from 1080 to maybe like 1440 or something.
Well, you don't want to play Minecraft at
4K.
At 4K, 140 hertz, and that's about all you can get with decent quality. Otherwise, you have to bump everything down to minimum spec.
Yeah, I don't want to play Minecraft now, so yeah, definitely not.
I still can't believe it's Minecraft that they were talking about for 4K. I mean, really, we have the highest quality blocks.
The best blocks. All right.
Speaking of random blocks, my next game was about Dice. Dice Hunter, Quest of the Dicemancer. This is a mobile game that I tried out, and it was pretty fun up to a point. This was essentially a dungeon crawler. I guess it's the proper way to call it. I mean, you come up against single sets of enemies, and you're rolling dice. And think of it almost as Yahtzee, where you have to match to deal more damage or to drop armor on enemies and that sort of thing. It was interesting up to a point. Then I hit a brick wall where essentially it was one of those instances of, oh, you want to keep progressing? Well, either grind away or give us $20. Because the way it's set up is that after each level, you are given a chance for a new dice. And each dice has various faces on it, as you may imagine. And some dice are better than others for certain situations. So you may get one dice that has 4 attack sides to it, 1 shield side, and 1 special side that has a star on it that's used for powering up their special moves and the knot. So that would be a very attack-oriented dice. But if you're up against something that you need a lot of shields for, which absorbs damage, and this is essentially an RPG where your character builds up and your dice level up and that sort of thing, and the level of your dice impacts the stats of your main character. Well, if you're coming up against something that you need a lot of shields for to take damage to mitigate, you are so screwed on this. Because if you don't get lucky on those drops or on those rolls every level up, the only way to get another chance, not even a guaranteed chance, because there's a good chance that you get dice shards that will upgrade your dice, which is very, very annoying, because a lot of it is you have to hit the same type of dice 2 or 3 times in order to get a level up, and I never did. So I have no idea exactly how good that level up is. I'm not painting this game in a very good picture, am I?
Not necessarily, but it looks cool, so I installed it anyways.
Yeah, it looks cool, and if you get lucky with the dice, it's a lot of fun. It's just I hit a brick wall, and I just didn't want to sit there and grind. And it also has an energy mechanic, so you could play for probably about 30 minutes at a time, which is plenty for this, because you don't want to sit there and roll dice all day. Well, unless you're in Las Vegas.
Hey-o.
I'm trying to think of anything else that's really important about this, because there's a lot of little things where it has the thing where you could watch a commercial to get some extra cash or a chance for the premium currency. And they do have it where you can occasionally get the premium currency. So if you log in enough, or have your daily dice roll, and then watch the commercial, you have a chance to get premium currency there as well. You can eventually get those extra rolls to try to get extra dice or extra types of dice to make life a little bit easier. But like I said, it's all comes down to really chance, which, a game about chance involving dice? Huh, how about that?
Hey!
But I did like that you can mitigate a lot of the random chance by just locking in certain dice. So, okay, I see a enemy that I have armor on. Well, to strip the armor, I need 2 lightning bolts. Well, I happen to have 3 dice that have lightning bolts. 1 dice that has 2 lightning bolts sides. That one didn't come up lightning bolt this time, but this other did, which is a 1 in 6 chance. So I could lock that in and get a 1 in 3 on the other one and a 1 in 6 on the third. Stuff like that, and being able to mitigate your chances there. And it's all about your dice manipulation. And that I did like. And it's just, like I said, I just hit that brick wall, which was incredibly frustrating.
Yeah, it looks really neat.
It's very neat, and there's a lot of fun gameplay up until, I would say, about the level 50-ish range when I hit the brick wall. Of just coming up against enemies that I didn't have the proper dice for. Right.
Yeah, I might have to give it a shot. Who knows? Maybe I'll have better luck than you, or might spend some money. Out of the two of us, I'm the one who spends money on these things. So.
Yeah, I'm a cheap ass when it comes to bubble gaming.
I've always got some money kicking around in my Google Play account just to spend on games like these. So, we'll see. I'll check it out this week, probably. I'll report back next week. Alrighty. Well, the next game on my list, X3 Albion Prelude, the expansion to Terran Conflict, which I mean, if you've got both, I don't know why you'd ever play Terran Conflict, because Albion Prelude's way better. Did you know that Egosoft, the people who make this game, still actively support it, and it received an update in April?
Huh. No, I
that
didn't.
Fixed a bunch of bugs and made it, it enhanced mod support for the game, and changed a few things.
Well, I'm looking at the changelog. There's also one that gave it full controller support in Mac and Linux.
Yeah, that one was in May.
Yeah,
was there anything else that happened in that one?
No idea. I'm just looking at it on my Steam library. But the thing is that there's 3 different games for the X3.
Yeah, Terran Conflict and Albion Prelude are the better ones. Reunion...
It's kind of going into X Rebirth. Matter of fact, it is going to X Rebirth, which it introduces a lot of the story elements from that game into X3.
Yeah.
Which I have everything up until Rebirth.
Yeah. I've actually never played...
I got the Mega Box whenever they released it years ago. I think it was $20 to get all of them. Which it's just an insane deal for, just how much gameplay is here. Granted, they're all sandbox games, so they're just, how much you want to play.
Yeah, well, there's also actually a lot of story content in these games.
Yeah, particularly the later ones, because the earlier ones, they're more story-focused, but they're also a lot rougher, just because of technology.
Yeah. I've never completed the story. I've tried. I've actually set out to try, but if you want to complete the full story of these games, you really have to get into every aspect of the game. It's not like you can just go, okay, I'm going to be a trader and beat the story. No, you have to be able to actually fight yourself and go do stuff yourself with combat ships. You can't just be a combatant because you have to have the money. You won't have the money, and also you won't have the fleet support for the later missions that involve you fighting aliens or full-on faction battles. You have to get into every aspect of this game if you want to actually complete the story. I only played it for 7 or 8 hours, which now that I say that
it sounds like a lot, but that's enough time to figure out the UI, because the UI is very complex.
It's really obtuse. If you've never played this game before, use either a flight stick or a controller to fly around, and then just use your mouse and keyboard for interfacing with other things. Because trying to fly...
You're saying that the DualShock 4 is perfect because of the trackpad on it?
Yeah, the Steam controller actually probably would work really well too. I haven't played this with a Steam controller yet. I might give that a shot. Because I installed it on my main machine once I got home. And I got my flight stick out and dusted it off because it's been a year since I've used that. And I'm gonna play it some more. There's a new game mode that you can just play 100% in sandbox mode and basically just go conquer whatever you want to by yourself. The story is already complete in this universe in custom mode. But it starts you out with a combat ship and $0. And I guess you could. The game is fully functional with keyboard and mouse, but I'm no, I don't want to do that. It's much better with a flight stick. So I basically spent 8 hours genuinely going okay, how is it things? What do I do? How does this work? Because it's been a year or so since I've played the X games, and I kind of remember the basics, but after that, everything's a little fuzzy. So I spent 8 hours basically relearning the game, and I'm going to start a new game soon. And
shame it's not multiplayer. Because this would be a lot of fun to do co-op in.
Yeah, I don't think there's any multiplayer mods. There might be. There's a ton of mods for this game.
Yeah.
For every version of this game. And Egosoft is very much yes, mod everything. Mod it all. So, I love these games. I've talked about them at length before in multiple previous podcasts. I'm not going to do that this time.
For once.
But still, I'm going to get back into it. Going to get my flight stick out and all that jazz.
Please put your pants back on.
So yeah, good game, a lot of fun. Thankfully, it's old enough that my laptop can run it at a pretty steady 60 FPS. Occasionally, it'll have a hitch, lock up a little bit, but this game Came out in, I think, 2011, 2010, something like that. So, and when you turn the graphics down a little bit, it still looks fine. I don't care about that.
It's kind of a shame that the latest X game, or X4 Rebirth, or whatever they officially called it, was kind of such a departure from the series that it really turned a lot of people off.
Yeah.
Yeah, I only got 3 hours in Prelude. I think I was working on Terran Conflict just for the story. But yeah, going through the 3x3 games for the story, because I at least assumed that Terran Conflict would lead to Albion Prelude, which would lead to Reunion. I'm not sure if it did or didn't. Yeah, it's just one of those things that I was assuming.
Yeah. I've never actually beaten the Albion Prelude story, so I don't know if that's true or not. A lot of the events in it run parallel to Terran Conflict, though, so I don't know.
Or, just the order of release, and just to figure out, the overall story. It is a little unprofessional that I'm looking at X3 Terran Conflict, and I'm pretty sure that's a Fraps FPS counter in the upper left-hand corner of the official screenshots.
Is it?
I'm looking on the store page. Is that a Fraps counter?
That looks like a Fraps counter. The game does have an in-game counter, but it doesn't look like that.
Yeah, and the fact that it's a very cinematic 24 FPS in one of these.
Yeah. It's terrible.
This is also released in October 16th, 2008. But I wonder if the other ones have this.
Albion Prelude doesn't, because I was just looking at it.
Yeah, but it's also a lot of more, it looks almost like just concept art on some of this.
Yeah. The game is very pretty. I'm still impressed at how good this game from, depending on which version you're playing, up to 10 years ago, looks. I mean, Terran Conflict and Albion Prelude are both beautiful. I've never actually played Reunion, so I don't know, but I assume it looks great too.
X3 Reunion, all their screenshots are in 4x3.
I think Reunion is actually the oldest of the three X3s. I think it's Reunion, Terran Conflict, and Albion Prelude, in that order.
Yeah, maybe I was getting my order backwards. Or maybe I was told to go play the other ones. I don't know. It's been a long time since I tried to play these. Yeah, X3 Reunion is November 3rd, 2005.
One of the top searches for X3 Albion Prelude auto completes the multiplayer mod.
Yeah, maybe I should go back and try to play the X games again at some point. Granted, it's kind of tough to go back and play it. Wow, the X Super Box is up to $40. Then again, I imagine that doesn't include anything new. Huh.
Yeah, there's probably not 1 million, but it feels like 1 million. I'll dig through it later and see if there is a multiplayer mod.
If there is, that may be something to try out sometime.
Yeah.
Granted, we need about 2 weeks' notice to be able to figure out, okay, what is this? Oh, no, that's the evacuate the atmosphere of the cabin switch. Do not put a post-it note, do not switch.
No, don't push that, you'll self-destruct. Well, fuck. And yes, there is a self-destruct button. I don't know why you'd ever want to self-destruct. I don't think that any of this... Unless you like RAM, I don't think that self-destruct would be useful, because the explosions don't travel that far, because it's space. I mean, aside from it not using realistic... Aside from not being realistic orbital mechanics, it's pretty faithful and true to space.
Well, that's the thing, is that not a lot of games do proper orbital mechanics. In fact, it's a rarity to see it.
I mean, they're not very fun for the most part, I would think. Like, I think that would be their reasoning.
It depends on the scale as well, because I really like Celestial Command, and that's proper orbital mechanics.
Yeah.
But that's also, the planets are very small in that.
Yeah, the Evacron series uses proper orbital mechanics.
What was the essentially arena shooter that has proper orbital mechanics, and I'm blanking on the name of now? Well, it's not an arena shooter, but it's turn-based shooter. You know what I'm talking about,
know. Right? No, I don't. Or if I do, I'm drawing a blank on it.
You know, it's sort of a combination of worms and a sieve.
Oh, planetary something. I know what you're talking about now. I know what you're talking about. It's like you shoot it's a bunch of planets in the solar system, and you're trying to blow up the other planets, and you have to account for gravitational forces.
I mean that does have orbital mechanics. They're not realistic.
Is it planetary bombardment? No, that's not it. It's not planetary.
Interplanetary.
Interplanetary. That's it.
It doesn't have realistic orbital mechanics. And a matter of fact, it's very often you'll have someone going retrograde, which doesn't happen too often in real orbital mechanics. I mean, I'm not saying that it can't happen, but it's. I don't think it's something that you would see all that often, but it's very often in this.
Yeah. That's fun. It's fun. I've only played a couple of matches with people because I don't know very many people who own this game.
I have it, but the thing is that one, when I tried to play it, it didn't have a spectator system at all. So as soon as you were knocked out, you were gone. You were knocked out of the game completely. Which, was a little bit off-putting. And also, they're making a second one.
Are they really?
I think so. Oh, well, no wonder this has Worms with Civ. It's by Team 17. Why didn't I realize that? Well, they're making a remaster of it, I believe. If I recall, because they were talking about fixing it in a remaster or interplanetary enhanced edition update. Yeah, there it is. It's on their store page, or not on their store page, but on their forums. And we are way, way off topic.
Yes, we are. Yes, we are. Why don't you go ahead and get us back on topic? What's your next game?
Well, my next game is my second mobile game last mobile game in this, Card Thief. This is a stealth card game, mobile game. It's pretty interesting. I've not played a lot of it, and the free version of it is essentially a demo. I mean, they do have it where you can continue playing for free, but the thing is that each time you complete a mission, it counts up higher and higher on the completion timer to unlock the chest that you're stealing. And I think at this point, I'm like at 45 minutes for each level. But it's also
nice.
something that I'm just toying around with, so just seeing how it goes. But the idea of this is that you're trying to essentially work your way through a dungeon, which is a particular deck of cards. And you have your thief, and all the cards, or all the rest of the cards, are dealt out in a 3x3 grid. Now, this could almost be a real physical card game. If it wasn't for a couple of the mechanics, especially how they calculate the stealth movement, I think would be a little bit too much for a physical card game. But in the deck, or at least the one I have unlocked right now, I'm most of the way through the first area. You have guard cards, you have sneak cards, which replenishes the amount of stealth that your particular character has. You have hide cards, which allows you to replenish up to 10, or get back up to 10 stealth. Trader cards, which trades treasure for a certain amount of sneak. Torches that you could extinguish to lower the alert level of various cards. And the idea of it is to get through the deck, steal a treasure chest, and escape. Pretty much your standard stealth game, but the way that they did it is very interesting, and it has a very beautiful aesthetic to it, where everything has this pseudo... I'm not even sure how to describe it. I don't want to call it hand-drawn because everything's too clean for that, but it has a very steampunk feel to it with how everything moves. You're probably looking at it right now, aren't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. Can you describe just how it looks? I mean, that's one of those things that it has a sort of a hand-drawn look to it, but it's too clean and too precise for that.
Yeah. I don't really know how to describe. Maybe like someone hand drew it on what are those things called where you can just like draw on it and it translates it directly into
a tablet?
Well, no, I thought they had special names for them.
A drawing pad?
Sure. That's what this looks like.
But it does have a very nice look to it.
Yeah.
And you could see, if you're looking at the screenshots of it, where you go around, all the cards are looking in various directions, and you have different equipment that you can force them to look in a different direction to sneak up behind them and bash them in the head to take them out, and extinguish torches to lower the alertness of various cards, but that also causes them to look in your direction, and cards could also move to check out an extinguished torch and that sort of thing. Granted, some of the screenshots are in later areas I haven't quite gotten to yet. But one of the first screenshots shows the movement going to talk to someone to replenish stealth, then going to go knock out someone and hide. And you're just trying to get through the deck. It's actually a lot of fun. There's a couple ways that you could play it. You could play it for free and just wait to unlock the chest. The first few chests are, just a few seconds, just to get a feel for things. You could also watch a commercial after each level, which isn't too bad. I think each one's 30 seconds, or you just pay $2 and you have the game. Not a bad little game though. I actually enjoyed it.
This one looks cute too. I'm not sure if I'm going to install this one or not.
Figures, the one I actually like, you don't want to play.
Oh. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. I might. I probably will. I say that. I probably will. Alright. My next game, Need for Speed Undercover. This one's going to be quick. It didn't work on either my laptop or my gaming PC. On my laptop, So, I have to use integrated graphics on my laptop, but the game didn't recognize the integrated graphics, so I'm not sure how it was displaying graphically other than it looked like hot garbage. Everything was super flat and it was terrible. And the game was not running at a playable frame rate. It was like 17, which is unplayable for anything except maybe like a turn-based game or a point-and-click game, but it was just terrible. Just the worst. And on my desktop, it just crashed constantly. I didn't spend too much time on it. I bought this, it was like $2 on the Steam sale. I'd been wanting to play a Need for Speed game, and Undercover was the only one in like the last 10 years that I liked but didn't finish. So I was like, yeah, I'll get that, I'll play it, and I'll finish it, have just like a fun arcadey racing game, because I like to have those every once in a while too, despite being seriously into Sims. But it just crashed every 3 minutes on my desktop. The only thing I can figure is just hardware incompatibility. So I refunded that one, which sucks because I really liked Need for Speed Undercover. It was one of the better ones before they started getting
too Fast and Furious.
Too Fast and Furious. It was one of I think it was the last one before they had their serious run, because they had the Need for Speed Pro Street games and the Need for Speed Shift, which was more of a simulator style racing game.
Yeah, because that's what people bought for Need for Speed for.
Actually, Shift was a lot of fun. It took some getting used to, because you're like, this is Need for Speed. I should be able to use nitrous and have giant turbos and...
So you're saying it was a shift for the series?
Yeah. Except they beat you to the punch. But I like Shift. But yeah, Undercover was great, but never... it's just not meant to be, I guess. So I got my $2 back.
So you definitely didn't buy that for $1?
Nope.
Oh, well, since you had your racing game, shall I talk about my little driving game?
Sure.
Well, I got on a simulator kick as well. Only mine actually worked. Euro Truck Sim 2. Mostly just getting back into it because I haven't played it for a while, and I got one of the DLCs for it, which we'll talk about later. No, unfortunately, it wasn't one of the map DLCs. It's probably going to be waiting for at least the winter sale because the map DLCs are kind of expensive for this game, for area-wise.
Indeed.
And I'm a cheapskate.
Indeed.
But it mostly boils down to a moment I'm driving along and a cop passes me. And I stop and I look at it and think, when the hell did they add police in this game? Because it used to be, last time I played it, that you could speed all you want, and as long as you remembered where all the speed traps were, the speed cameras, you know, that's all that mattered. Now that they added the police, you have to constantly watch for them. And since you're usually hauling something, you can't do that because they'll just come up behind you and ticket you.
Yep.
But it's just one of those things that I'm driving along, that car looks a little... That car has lights on it. That's a policeman.
Yep, they drive past you, wee, and then you get a ticket. Lose some, like, 300 euros or 500 euros, depending on where you are and how much you're speeding.
Yeah, it's just... I thought it was hilarious. But overall, you know, it's pretty much the same game. I have the Scandinavia and the Eastern expansion, so I'm just lacking the French one. And I probably should go back and go through Scandinavia because I think that's probably some of the prettiest territory that they have, at least for now. Granted, I'm not sure how they did the French. But it is very impressive just the amount of graphical fidelity that game has.
Yeah, it's a really good-looking game for what it is. And
I think I figured out that I do like driving sims as long as I'm not racing. Because I like spin tires and I like Euro Truck. But I don't like things like Dirt Rally. But then again, I'm also, not barreling down a racetrack at 200 miles per hour trying to steer with a gamepad.
Yeah.
And now you're searching for other driving games, aren't you?
No, I went to go see what DLC I have, and the only one I have is the Rocket League promo. I don't know what that is.
That's a couple of just cabin accessories that they added for anyone that had Rocket League.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I have... search for it on here. Let's see, I have the Dragon Truck design pack from Christmas, which gives me various dragon paint jobs for my trucks. Scandinavia, a trailer pack that has just cosmetic stuff. I also got it somewhere. Metallic paint jobs, which is a freebie if you register with World of Trucks, which I recommend you do. The Going East expansion, Rocket League promo, and cabin accessories.
Yeah, I don't have any of the DLCs. I like the game, I just don't play it enough to justify in my mind buying any of the DLCs.
Well, this is one of those games that I'll go to as a just a time killer. But this is almost in the same league for me as Warframe is. Only it's a lot less violent, obviously.
Less shooty bang bang.
Well, I shouldn't say less violent, but less violence overall. Because there are times that, there is some violence whenever I ram someone. Car darts out in front of me and I just plow into it. And then suddenly I'm, a couple thousand euros lighter on my wallet because I'm ticketed for, ramming someone, even though they darted out in front of me. And then I have to repair my truck. And then the insurance premiums go up, so I have to pay more overall for a time being. Which, that's a mod, by the way, that I really like. That it makes it so that you essentially have an insurance policy, and the better you drive and the cleaner you drive, the less you pay on your day-to-day maintenance. But if you get into a lot of accidents, you pay more. It's kind of neat.
Yeah, I'll have to get that. I've had a couple of
At
accidents.
some
I'm sure
point,
I'll have a few more.
Well, I'm
but
not sure if it requires any of the DLCs, but there is a multiplayer mod. The thing is that everything I hear about the multiplayer mod is usually people being very, very salty about bad players or players that are absolute dicks in this game.
Yeah.
And it's probably not a game I would take my personal save file onto multiplayer. I would probably make a new one. Granted, my save file is at the point where it's self-sufficient. I could just sit somewhere and let the money roll in. Which I do wish that I had two wishes for this game. One, I wish the business management was a little bit deeper. Because it's pretty much just hire driver, hire truck, upgrade truck a little bit so driver drives better. And then, wait for the cash to roll in. And the other thing is, well, kind of twofold on this, is that I wish that there was more traffic. Because you get on the open road and there's no one there and it feels very lonesome. But on the flip side of that, I also want the AI traffic to be a lot better. Granted, maybe it's realistic that everyone sucks at driving. And because of how the time compression is, you driving for 2 or 3 hours at a time in real life is several weeks worth of game time. Because combined with just having to rest, and that's overnight. And ferry rides take up a large chunk of time as well, particularly if you go from Scandinavia to the UK, because that's a long ferry ride. But maybe it comes down to realism that every couple of weeks you'll run into someone that will dart out in front of you, and you have to slam on the brakes and damage your load and have to pay insurance on that.
That happened to me this morning when I was driving to the clinic.
Bunch of dicks.
Someone darted out in front of me in traffic. I had to slam on my brakes, threw my backpack in the floor.
You know what they should do? If they're going to do it like that, they should have the person that constantly just darts out in front of you have a cell phone in their hand.
They're looking down at it, texting.
And you just see the car plow into the wall. Tumbling end over end. But yeah, that's Eurotruck. I would like to try multiplayer at some point. But I think it's something that I would want to do a convoy with some of the VGL crew. Because we have several people that own this game.
Convoy.
Convoy.
I hate that song, but we could just play it over and over again. It would be an acceptable time to play it.
At least until American Truck Simulator gets the eastern part of the U.S., then we could just start playing the Smokey the Bandit soundtrack. Eastbound down.
All right. Well, my next game is one that I don't know if you'll be surprised to hear that I really liked it or not, but Starbound. So Starbound is basically Space Terraria.
Well, I'm more surprised that you are still playing it.
Why are you surprised that I'm still
playing it?
Because
you got rather bored with Terraria.
Well, okay, so my biggest problem with Terraria is that you get no direction. I mean, yeah, you can go online and you can do what we did, and we can look up, like, the wiki. Okay, how do you unlock this? Where do you go to do that? But you're confined to one map, and it changes at a certain point in the game. Excuse me. And then, but I mean, basically, it stays the same the entire time. On Starbound, you get one. It's got a much bigger focus on sort of an RPG element. So you have to go and complete quests. It's got a main story with a goal that you can complete, objectives. You can run into people at like trading stations or even on planets or whatever. Or whenever you start colonizing worlds, your people will want you to do things for them. So it's got a whole bunch of missions that help give you direction, and you've got a ship that you start with and you can upgrade as you go and customize a bit. And sci-fi, like I've said this before, like sci-fi is my thing. Like that's my favorite sort of genre and style. So games that I'm not necessarily so hot on or kind of about, that sci-fi theme is often enough to give it a push in the right direction for me. So like, there's mechs and spaceships and teleporters and jet
I have to
boots
ask:
and-
is this a series or a game that you'd want to do a series on at some point?
I would. I absolutely would. I'm mostly... So I did the sort of tutorial, which takes, I don't know, 15, 20 minutes. And then sort of your first few missions are also teaching you things about the game. And that takes maybe like 2 hours to complete all of that. And then I've just spent almost like 6 or 7 of the next 10 hours that I've played the game just on my starting planet, building my first little colony and like learning how different things work. You do have to eat food. So that might be frustrating for you. I don't know how you feel about that, like having to...
It really depends on how focused the game is on that, because survival elements like that, it can get very annoying very quickly.
It's super annoying. I downloaded a mod that it either doubles or triples the amount of like food that you... Or no, what's the best way to say it? It makes it so that you don't have to eat as much food, basically.
It slows down your metabolism.
Yeah, it slows it down quite a bit. So if your food meter is full in the like unmodded, you've got maybe 20 minutes before you have to eat something, otherwise you start dying from not having eaten. This mod makes it take you about an hour.
Okay, that's not too bad.
And then you can set up... I mean, I've just got a farm at my home base, and so I'll get a whole bunch of food, cook it up, and put it in the fridge so that it doesn't decay, and then just fill up my inventory, or stop by every so often and just eat, take a few things with me, so that if I get in a jam, I can eat while I'm exploring.
But can you eat jam?
You can eat jam. You can make jam. It's got a really robust cooking system, actually.
Oh, well, now I know why you've been playing this game.
You can grow or find and then eat basic fruits and vegetables like corn, tomatoes, apples, that sort of thing. Or you can take them and cook them into a version of their food that is cooked, like, excuse me, tomatoes become like tomato soup, and apples become like apple pie and stuff like that. And then you can combine multiple ingredients to make cookies and cakes and meals and things like that. Excuse me, sorry, I have to do some editing there. But it's got a very robust cooking system. It's got a pretty in-depth crafting system. I mean, it's very Terraria-esque, and it's like, okay, you've got this bench to craft this thing, and this whatever to make this item, and all that sort of jazz. So all that's the same. Things mine and build basically the same as Terraria. You have like this little gun called the Matter...
Does it matter?
Or something? Well, one of the taglines is like, making things that don't matter with the matter moleculizer or whatever. But it's like, there's making things that don't matter into matter. That's what the tagline is for it. But it's like, instead of having to have a drill and an axe and a whatever, it's like this one thing does everything. So that's pretty handy. The game also focuses a lot more on combat than Terraria does, since it's mission-based. So there's a lot more different types of enemies. There's a lot more different types of weapons. The game is super moddable. There must be a million mods in the Steam Workshop, modding everything from like... There's this weird series of mods that I've discovered. Like, there's a van on this space station, and there's just a series of mods like... Fly that van, it turns into a spaceship. Or mechanize that van, it turns it into a mech you can pilot. Do all kinds of stuff with that. That's pretty neat. There's mods to put all kinds of Star Wars, Star Trek, every sci-fi thing you want or could think of into the game. Weapon packs. So there's tons of customizing you can do, which makes the game pretty much infinitely replayable, which it kind of is anyways. The gist of it is it's like there's this ancient evil that comes back, like some kind of Cthulhu-esque monster, and you have to travel around the galaxy collecting all the specific artifacts in order to craft the ultimate weapon to defeat it. And as you go, you explore planets and unlock better technology and stuff like that you use to upgrade your ship, and you can find people to crew your ship, which gives your ship different bonuses based on what kind of crew you get. The colonizing aspect is fun. It works pretty similarly to Terraria. You build basically a house And based on the items you put in the house, you can attract a shopkeeper or, different types of colonists that eventually can become your crew if you want to. And you can put specific crew members on board. But otherwise, they grant you bonuses to your planet that you're on. It's a lot of fun. I mean, Terraria in space with sci-fi trappings is a great premise. And I really enjoy it. I've played it for something like 12 or 14 hours so far. And I'm definitely going to keep playing it. And if let's see, let me scroll down here. Looks like 11 of my friends own this game. How many of you are VGL people? Looks like your uncle has it. Kyle has it. I might put this one on the next multiplayer list. We could start a multiplayer server. It doesn't go on great sales very often. It was still like $11 or $12 on sale. But, I mean, I've had this game on my wish list for forever. Ever since it first came out in beta. So I'm glad I bought it. I've really enjoyed it.
Okay, so, out of the elevator and into our next game. And it was my Sunday sampler. Infinite Mini Golf. Yeah, I decided not to do my long-term project just yet, mostly because I didn't spend enough time on it. And I had a week where I was just not playing really anything. Or nothing of real interest. So I picked up something that I got a review copy of pretty recently. And, well, yeah. Okay, Jared, a quick question. How would you expect this game to be scored? If you were playing this game, how would you expect to have to beat the opponent?
By having fewer strokes than your opponent, just like
then you
how
would
golf
be
works?
Wrong.
Okay.
They have this oddball scoring system where each stroke takes a certain number of points off. You start at 10,000 points per hole. And if you get a hole in one, it's 10,000 points. Unless something else happens, which I'll get to in a little bit. Then the next putt is 2,000 down. An albatross is 8,000. And granted, they still keep the terminology. Well, scattered across the developer-made courses are blue gems and a purple gem. And the purple gem is worth 2,000 points. So can you guess where we're going with this?
You have to balance getting actually good shots versus getting the rewards.
And sometimes the purple shot or the purple gem is nowhere near a possible 1 or 2 shot completion, and none of the holes have proper pars either. They're usually all doable within, I would say, 2, maybe 3 shots. Particularly if they have the shortcut things where you'll have a character sitting on the hole, or sitting somewhere on the course, I should say, and you put the ball to them, and does a about 10-second animation, and they either throw it or kick it or punt it or whatever,
right,
in a particular direction, and usually it goes directly to the hole. Not always, and sometimes you have to use a particular power up, which I'll get to the power ups in just a moment. But if a character is sitting somewhere where you could do that, well, then, going for the purple gem is kind of useless. But the thing is that because you're not watching the AI play, the points are just arbitrary on what they get. And the point system overall, they don't tell you jack shit on how it's scored. This is what I figured out over the course of, I would say, about 4 hours playing it, because there's no tutorial in this game whatsoever. Oh, and also, if you get a hole in one, the point on your next hole is doubled. And they don't go into this anywhere, so it also becomes a situation where the rich get richer in this case. If you get a good shot, well, the next hole, you also get a hole in one. That doubles the points again. So you have 3 holes of double points instead of 2. So you can see how things kind of get out of control.
So I'm watching, and this might be the power-ups you're about to talk about, but I'm watching the trailers for this game, and it looks like you can control your ball?
Yes, there's I want to say about a half a dozen or so power-ups, and one of which has a control where you take direct control over your ball, which, yeah, that always feels so cheaty because usually whenever they have a power-up like that, it's a requirement to get a good score on that particular hole. And if you miss it or you screw it up, then there's no way to do it. And that also comes into an issue of my issue with the controls of this game. Okay, golf game. How do you control a golf game?
Typically, you use either the D-pad or, whatever, some method of control to turn left and right, and then there's usually a slider that requires you to tap the buttons at the right time to get your power just the way you want it. Occasionally, games will use joysticks for controller-based games.
Well, this uses the joystick method. It uses the right thumbstick, and you pull it back to set your power, and then you release it. And it is finicky as fuck on the amount of power. Trying to hit a very precise shot. And the thing is, well, it's not like mini golf has, this element of puzzle where you have to have a very precise amount of power on your shots, right? Right?
Nah.
And, well, I did try this with mouse and keyboard as well. Mouse and keyboard, power is absolutely spot on. It's very easy to hit. But then you come to the issue of the power-ups, where if you have a power-up that you assume direct control, you would assume, A and D, WADs would control it.
You would? I'm guessing that you would be wrong.
You would be wrong. It's the mouse. As in, you scroll left and you start turning left until you stop scrolling left, and then you suddenly stop going left. So if you have let's say a hole that has 180 degrees worth of turn, you're quickly scrolling the mouse right or left, picking up, scrolling, and it's just, why the fuck would they do it like this?
Isn't this made by the same studio that did FX Pinball?
Yes, the pinball guys.
Those are good games.
And this is not the first game in this series. There was a PS, I believe, 3 game that was a World of Mini Golf or something like that, which it uses the same control method for the controller, but it's an actual golf game, as in it's scored like a damn golf game, and it doesn't look like this at all. It has a complete art shift. Oh, and also had camera issues, where they don't do the whole, something's in the way. Let's fade the terrain a little bit, or fade, the little goofy thing off on the side to give the hole some character. No, they don't do that at all. So there's several times that I would take a shot, and I wouldn't be able to see exactly how my shot did to try to improve because, a bulldog was in the way, because it has the game has 3 different things. It has Giant House, it has Haunted Mansion, and it has Santa's Workshop. And like on Giant House, there's giant bulldogs around, and finches and rats and that sort of thing. And, if something's in the way, well, it's in the way. You can't see. It's just, how the hell did that get past everything and still get, high reviews? Maybe I'm just very, very tough on games. I don't know.
No, this sounds like a really stupid game.
But let's see. Something else. Now, if you were to play a player-made hole, because this does have, of course, the course editor. I mean, pretty much that's standard. That's bog standard for sports games these days. And you played a hole that was absolutely terrible, and you rated it down. What would you think happens if you play some more player-made holes?
You would not get holes like that, or made by that same person?
And you would be wrong.
Of course I would.
Yeah, well, first of all, they don't have a straight thumbs up, thumbs down. They have all these little emoticon bullshit things. Yeah, there's gold star, there's thumbs, there is a thumbs up, I believe. But then all the negative ones are like sick face, angry face, bored face, which, yeah, how is that feedback exactly? Or, telling you, this whole made me bored, so be sure to include this one. Oh, and also a lot of the ones that I encountered a player created on my video for this game. Suddenly the game decided, maybe we shouldn't be including these. But a lot of them were one or two pieces of tile and then a hole, and it was literally putting practice. And the thing is that playing player-made holes nets you the currency for the shop, which it does have an in-game shop. Thankfully, at least for the time being, no microtransactions. Oh, which gets me to the cosmetic shop. Okay, cosmetic shop. It acts like it's a damn free-to-play game. It has different currencies for every category. And you get currencies in packs of cards. So, I showed this in my video where I could buy literally all the shirts, all the pants, all the clubs, but because I got unlucky, I couldn't get a damn belt.
Okay.
And you also could get these packs of currency by doing various missions, which the level up progression is completely obtuse as well. Okay, how would you level up in a game like this?
I assume that you would get, maybe based on the points you got, because that would be an indication of your skill, you would just gain experience over time and level up.
And you would be wrong.
I feel like there's a pattern that's been developing here.
Yeah, this game has it where you're given various missions, and some of them are just completely absurd. Like, okay, use this particular power-up twice, but unless you go hunting for the particular holes, or remember that, okay, well, the heavy ball power-up, which is never used except in, like, 2 instances, if you get that mission, you have to go hunt those holes down because you just are not going to level up. And you're given 2 sets of missions. You're given 1 set of 3 that are your currency missions. Yeah, you complete those and boom, you get a little bit of currency for the shop, which allows you to buy a pack of bullshit cards that gives you the currency for the cosmetic shop that, you're never going to get the one that you want anyway. And all the cosmetics are locked behind levels anyway. So if you want, something kind of cool, well, you're going to have to wait till you level up, which is the second set of missions, which are very particular missions. And some of them take a very long time to do. Complete 20 holes on casual mode. Well, honestly, casual mode is boring as hell. Because they have all the, helpers turned on. All the holes have this giant black hole abyss that sucks the ball down if you get in the same zip code as the hole. And yeah, I just didn't like this game, as you may guess.
Yep, I think I gathered that.
And also, well, one other thing is that the difference, well, there's over 300 holes. There's like 324 holes developer made. But, okay, it's split between 3 themes, each one with 3 difficulties. Each difficulty has 4 sets of holes, and each set of holes is 9 holes. Which comes out after all the math to 324, I believe. 108 each. Well, if I recall correctly, I could be a little bit off on that. But yeah, over 300. But the thing is that the difference between casual and normal is very minor. It's just the helpers with normal maybe adding a block here or there. And the difference between normal and hard is also very minimal, where you may have a timing thing where you have to get past a rat that's dangling over the hole or something like that. So it's kind of cheaty on just the number of holes that they claim. Oh, it makes me wonder, how the hell did they make this game? And better yet, how the hell is it so highly rated?
Magic?
Or I just have a higher standard. And whenever I go to play a mini golf game, which here's the thing is that there has been a resurgence of mini golf games out on Steam.
Yeah, I've seen quite a few here lately.
And this is one of the more expensive ones. And they expect to raise the price once it leaves early access, which it's about to. That's why I did the video for this. That's why I got the review copy, was that it's late in its early access cycle. There's a lot better mini golf games out there for a lot cheaper than this before they even raise the price. So go play one of those instead.
Yeah, this just doesn't seem like it's actually a mini golf game.
This feels like a puzzle game that is mini golf based, but the developers heard of mini golf at one point and liked the idea of it, but never bothered to research it further.
Yeah, it feels kind of like Marble Blast Ultra to me, with like a golf theme.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, it does have that feeling of some of the older physics-based puzzlers. But, it's just, why did you do it like this? Why?
Yeah.
They should stick to pinball.
Yeah. Okay. Well, the next game on my list is Transport Fever. Yay! I played a shit ton of this while I was gone. I played it on the train a lot, and then also when not on the train. And I mostly
made the GIF in your honor, playing a transport game like that.
Yeah, but right before I left, like maybe a week or two before I left, the developers of the game, Urban Games, put out a modding contest, and they were like, "Hey, we want some cool future content in our game." Because one of the biggest complaints is like once you get to around the year 2000, 2010, there stops being new trains and trucks and buses and things like that. There's like maybe one or two past that point. Mm-hmm. And they were like, "Hey, we want some future content in the game. We're gonna have a contest and have some winners and stuff. But why doesn't all of our modding community put together some future styled mods for the game?" So I downloaded all of the mods that they had available and played through a game with all of the future mods. There's some really cool stuff.
Yeah, I'm looking at the Maglift train. That's kind of neat.
Yeah. But it's just nice. I love when devs acknowledge that mods are a thing and they can be really good to extend the life of your game and give you good publicity and stuff. So it was just nice, and there's a lot of cool stuff. Like a lot of the mods focus on automation and sort of like, well, this technology that we have that's either experimental still or theoretical, or maybe it is in use but it's not really widespread. Like, let's take that and make it into a thing for the game.
I'm looking at the Beluga.
Yeah,
that's giant bus.
Yeah, the big automatic bus. Or the Beluga might be the big automatic
self-driving truck.
Yeah, it's the truck.
Well, sorry, I saw the windows on the side and thought bus. Or at least I assume those are windows just by glancing at it.
Yeah,
there's a lot of stuff here.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, is that modding can add a lot of life to the game. It's one of those things that modders have to be treated well.
Yeah. My favorite is the atomic train. Just because I'm in Fallout. I made all of my trains in one of my games, atomic trains. Even though technically it's a freight locomotive. I made everything with atomic trains.
And then you run them together and you have mushroom clouds.
Yeah, absolutely. So
you can get sued by a singer for the Wanderer.
But I didn't have a ton to say about it. I still have Transport Fever. I play it a ton. I've not played it with a ton of mods. I've always used like one or two mods, like ones that makes the economy run a little bit smoother. I'm gonna have to go make some tea, I think.
That's why I had to have the bathroom break, because I'm constantly drinking to prevent that.
Yeah. But like one of the issues with the game is that the economy gets a little finicky towards the later game, because it's really difficult to keep your production high enough on everything in order to actually meet the demands of the late game cities. And I assume that that's to encourage you to use like multiple sources to get all of your goods and spread them around. But I tend to build a big centralized hub where everything collects and then ship it out to cities. And just having a whole bunch of different like stops on your routes for cargo can cause them to sometimes not produce enough, because the factory is like, oh, you've got, you know, X amount of whatever sitting at this station, but it's not tracking the other stations where that cargo is still going to. So I usually use mods that just like either tweak that, fix it in some way, mods that add a few vehicles to the game.
Or it just changes the metabolism.
It's mostly just quality of life stuff. I use mods that cut down on the amount of certain effects so that I can keep my frame rate up. Even my i7 struggles once you get to the mid to late game on like a medium-sized map. Small maps are okay, but small maps only have a maximum of 7 cities on the randomization. And
that's hardly fun.
And that's not really fun. So I have to play on at least medium maps. And large maps, even at the beginning of the game, a large map can cause my game to chug. Just because of the way that it simulates all of the citizens and everything. It's just, I mean, this is a super CPU-bound game.
Now I'm just having flashbacks to Dwarf Fortress.
No. But Transport Fever. Fun game to play on a train. I don't know, that made the experience feel more special. It's not been the same since I got back, man.
Well, moving along to another game that starts with a T. Torchlight 2. This is a game that I've actually been playing with a few people lately. And this is the game that kind of turned me on to the ARPG genre. It's one of those that it's as deep as you wanted to make it, but there's enough of just, you know, going around and a lot of quality of life stuff that makes the experience a lot of fun. Other than that, it is a very, very bog standard ARPG for the most part. But the main thing that it changes is just how you handle inventory out in the wild with the inclusion of your pet. Everyone has a pet in this game. Well, at least one permanent pet. And that pet also has its own inventory. So you could ship stuff off to your pet, and then you could send your pet off to town to go buy and sell. It could buy stuff off of its shopping list, which has 4 slots, which could buy healing potions, mana potions, different scrolls, that sort of thing. And it could sell its inventory and come back within a couple minutes, and you could just keep going, and it doesn't really slow down the gameplay that much. I mean, granted, you do have to stop to sort things, but it's not nearly as intensive as something like Diablo. I was just stopping there for a moment. Okay. But on top of how the pet handles things, well, also the pet has its own ability to have its own spells, which every class has their own skills, but then they have 4 slots for various spells that could drop as scrolls, which you learn. And the pet could also learn 4 spells. So you could have, well, my main character has a pet mimic. All right? And just mimic as in treasure chest bouncing around behind him. And that mimic also summons a bunch of skeletons. So the mimic has its own little skeleton army.
Nice.
Oh, and also name my mimic Chewy. Because,
nice.
Mimic chewing on something. And, well, one of my friends I play with also gave, the pets, you have your standard cosmetic pets. Your starter pets are really no difference of what they do, other than just, looks. There's some argument over whether or not the hawk and the owl, the flying pets, are a little bit faster and could get to things a little bit easier, but that's very minor. But then you get fish to get these fish to get fish to transform your pet. And some of these are permanent ones, like I believe it's the largemouth bass turns it into a mimic.
All right.
And the upgraded pets like that have an increased skill or increased bonuses. Like the spider, the webfish can turn pets into a spider, and the spider has the innate ability to shoot webs to slow enemies. Or the mimic has a higher damage and higher defense. The crab pet has a lot more armor. Yeah, that sort of thing. And allows you to customize a little bit more. But it's also one of those things that it doesn't matter that much, but if you wish to go into it, you could have some fun tweaking it. And overall, it's accessible enough that you never feel like you've completely boned yourself on your skills. And there is a developer-made mod that sells a full respec potion that is in the game, so you don't have to worry about having that mod. But that's the only way to access it. It's a convenience feature.
Right. Okay.
But you never feel like you're completely out of sorts. And that's something that can easily happen with something like Path of Exile or Diablo, where you get to that point where you realize, I built my character wrong, and I'm no longer having fun with it. And this, you can do a full respec, or even without that full respec, you don't feel like you're completely boned. And that's what I really like about this game.
Right. We'll talk more about this later, but didn't I buy Torchlight 2 for...
I'm pretty sure you did. And I played some with Kyle, which Kyle has a tendency to go run off to do things.
Of course he does.
I played I've made 3 different characters in the last week. I have one that I'm playing with Kyle and Jim, which Jim doesn't know the game all that well, and I probably made the worst combination possible with Jim and Kyle. And then I'm playing with another friend that I've known for ages, and she absolutely loves my mimic, and she keeps asking, so are you a fan of Terry Pratchett if you have a mimic following you around? Because, the Discworld thing. Granted, I'm pretty sure that piece of luggage has a ton of legs, and this mimic just is hopping around, so you just hear tunk, 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 tunk the entire time. Which honestly makes it a lot funnier to me.
I think I would get annoyed at that after a while.
Well, it's not a very loud sound. And trust me, it gets drowned out.
Okay. I will trust you.
Yeah. Well, there's a first. But I think you would like this game. It's like a lot of your issues with the game will probably be its perspective, because it still has the isometric view.
Yeah, but after playing Divinity for so long, I think I've gotten over my hang up with that.
There are a couple times that the view can be a little bit cumbersome, but that's mostly coming down to the art style, where it has this very bright art style and an exaggerated look on everything. But okay. I think you'll enjoy it. I think you'll enjoy your time in it once we eventually play it. I'm not sure if it's just going to be a streaming game, if we'll eventually play it on YouTube. ARPGs can be good on YouTube because you can edit the hell out of them. And there is a lot of downtime in this, but maybe it'll be a good streaming game or just goofy around game. I don't know. It's going to be something to figure out at some point, but I do want to play with you.
Oh, thanks.
The only downside to this is that it doesn't have a lot of crafting in it. There is a slight crafting system where you can combine potions into bigger potions, and there is a couple of fish that are used in making a unique helmet. But for the most part, it's just combining your potions into better ones instead of selling and rebuying. And that's probably the weakest point of this game is just the lack of crafting. But then again, that this is meant to be almost an entry-level ARPG.
Right. Well, I mean, I like crafting, but if a game doesn't have crafting, it's not like it's terrible or anything.
Well, I just know that you've sat in Divinity for hours.
Well, I mean, I like the crafting system in Divinity. It's really good. Okie dokie. Well, let's wrap up this massive long games section with my last game, which is Sword of the Stars. I also played quite a bit of Sword of the Stars on my trip. And I mean, I played this game a ton. I did a review of it. Like, played it a lot. Really like it. But there are two races that I had never really played. And they were the DLC races. Just because my favorite race in the game to play is the humans, because I really like their FTL travel system, the node drive, which like each planet has a gravitational link to other planets, and it's incredibly fast, even at the beginning of the game when you don't have any tech researched. But
yeah, until you have to go to somewhere that doesn't have a node.
Yes, that does happen every once in a while, but typically it connects somewhere, and you just have to get to the planet that has a node that connects to it. But I did decide, I was like, you know what, I'm going to play a game through with each of these two races that I've never played. The Miragi, which are like these bird people, and the Thule? I'm not exactly sure how to pronounce that. But they're like big, angry gorilla aliens. And they were a lot of fun. They both have very interesting, different, somehow unique systems compared to the other four. So the Miragi they basically have space trains. I
can see why you like them already.
The way their FTL system works is that you have like a lead ship that all the other ships couple up to, and it like breaks through into an alternate dimension, and all the other ships follow behind it in a line, and they use their drives to push it faster. So the more ships you have together in this train, the faster they travel at FTL speeds. So they also can be incredibly quickly if you're moving a battle fleet around. If you've just got one ship you want to move somewhere else, it's not much faster than using slower than light drives. But the more ships you pile on, the faster they can go. So that's pretty cool. They also, since they came out with the Murder of Crows DLC, which added a whole bunch to the space station system, they get some unique space station bonuses. And they're the only race that cannot have an AI rebellion. If they get the AI tech tree, they're immune to it because of one of their like racial lore things. Like they're the oldest race in the universe, and they're what's left over from like, you know, like so
they know shit goes down if we do this, so let's put a restraining bolt on this bad boy.
Pretty much, yeah. I think that their AI technology can still be corrupted if there's another AI rebellion, but they don't have to worry about one starting in their civilization, which is nice because AI rebellions fucking suck. But the other system, or the other aliens, the gorilla guys, they are a ton of fun. So there's a bunch of different ways to win in Sword of the Stars. You don't necessarily have to just wipe out everyone else. You can go for diplomacy victories and stuff. And
what's the fun in that?
Well, and as such, there's a whole bunch of different technologies that don't necessarily just focus on war. But these guys are focused 100% on war. They're like a genetically engineered race that rebelled and overthrew and completely destroyed the alien race that created them. And so there's this thing called overharvesting, which is your planets, whenever you overharvest, you get a ton of production and economy boosts, but you slowly destroy the resources on your planet, which in the end means that when all your resources are gone, you'll suffer huge penalties for not having resources on your planets.
This feels like a political allegory, doesn't it?
Yeah. They are set to a permanent state of overharvest. You can't not overharvest with them. So you're just encouraged to planet hop and take over other people's planets. Instead of having diplomacy, they have slaves. So you can capture slaves from other ships with boarding pods, or from other planets with specific landers that go down and capture slaves. All of their ships are mishmashes of other ships. And they have their own unique design style, but basically it's just like a mishmash of every other race's ships in the game. And after battles, instead of salvaging just like bare resources to add to a planet, they actually salvage ships, like whole ships from battles. And they can, they're the only race that can salvage technology from fleets. Like, you can get technology from taking over planets sometimes, but they get technology from researching fleets. So their tech tree is a little bit smaller, but they're the only ones that can, like, rapidly assimilate other alien species technology.
So in other words, you send in your kick-ass battleship, you lose it, suddenly you're facing it, and they learned all the technology from it.
Pretty much. And their method of traveling faster than light creates black holes.
That seems like a bad thing.
So they create stable wormholes by forming two artificial black holes, and there's a random chance every turn that the black holes will collapse. And if a black hole collapses, shit gets fucked up. So,
I would expect so.
So there's like different levels of collapse. Like, it can just like close, and then you'll have to create a new one in order to travel faster than light. They can, I forget what it's called, but like they collapse and release like this huge EMP burst that disrupts all faster than light travel for a couple of turns in a certain radius. Or they can just like completely just collapse and destroy everything. And they'll wipe out planets and fleets, and it's ridiculous. And that can happen to you too. So it's just like you constantly like, I've got to be moving and taking shit over. I've got to be killing things and capturing slaves. They're insane. But they're fun because they're completely different than the other 5 races in the game. Just 100% focused on killing and moving. So it's cool. I like them. They're fun. They're also the only race that can attack humans while they're in node space. Like, human ships are basically, they're invincible while they're moving, unless they happen to get caught at a planet with another fleet. But these guys can just suck them out with a black hole. Which kind of negates one of the big advantages of the human ships. So, they're cool. It's a fun race to play. I wish more of our friends bought this game. It's so much fun. I want more people to play with. Oh wait, Cube bought it. Yay!
Uh-oh.
The 3 of us can play, because I know you have it. He's got to learn how to play, but...
Yeah, I have no idea how to play this game.
I'll take it easy on you guys the first time we play. You can, whenever you...
Alright, Kyle.
Whenever you create custom games, you can go in and give, like, benefits or, like, boosts or whatever to individual players, instead of it just being, like, an entire thing. So, like, I could give you guys, like, a shitload of money and starting planets, and I can start with, like, the basic stuff.
And then suddenly a moon's crashing into my planet.
Unfortunately, you can't do that. Although there is, if you turn random events on, there can be asteroids and things that crash into your planets and destroy them. I always turn random events off, though. They're more frustrating than anything.
It really depends on how often they show up. Would be how, if I would turn them on and off.
You can change the rate, but it's pretty basic. It's just like low, medium, and high occurrence rates, and then you can just turn them off. But, I mean, it seems like there's good ones and there's bad ones, but it seems like within the first 100 turns, I always have something that wipes me out. Like, there's a giant... The worst one, like meteor showers and things like that, are pretty common, and they can be helpful or harmful depending on where they hit in your system, and they can add additional resource to a planet. But there's like some kind of alien world destroyer that shows up. And it's like, what's the episode of Star Trek where there's the thing that
the original series, the Planet Eater?
Yeah, it's. I feel like it's inspired by that, and it actually will.
Has to be.
It just destroys your everything, and it's really hard to kill, even with late game technology. And I've had that thing show up several times at my home world within the first 100 turns, and these are like the first 100 Civ turns. Like, you're in the equivalent of like. You're
just banging some rocks together trying to build a spaceship.
At best, you're in like the medieval era. That equivalent. It's like, well, I'm done. I'm just going to restart this game.
Well, you just need a trebuchet to launch a foot soldier into the abyss and blow him up as he goes in.
Yeah. Really big ass trebuchet.
No, it's simple. It's just a trebuchet that launches a trebuchet that launches another trebuchet. You know, trebuchets all the way down, and eventually you hit orbital velocity.
Yeah, they get smaller as they go. Okie dokie. Yep.
Hey, we got through the games we played.
We did it, and it only took us 2 hours.
Yeah, so ready to talk about some more games?
Yeah, let's talk about some more games. So yeah, we're gonna go through the list of games that we bought on the Steam sale.
Yeah, our Steam sale aftermath. Not really go in depth onto a lot of these because we really haven't played a lot of these. But what the hell, right?
Yeah.
Did you calculate how much you spent?
No, but I can look at that right now.
Yeah, I spent right at $60. Well, that's also including a refund and then buying something else.
Let's see. This one, $122.42. And this one, $46.61.
Yeah, someone was a big spender.
And this one, $4.99. That was a gift purchase, but that cancels because I refunded that, so that cancels out.
You took it back?
No. This is another game I refunded.
I was about to say,
but they were the same price. They were the same price, and then minus $4.89 for the other.
And then sending out pony games to everyone.
I spent $164.14, guys.
Damn.
My wallet, she cries.
Better get to Katie now.
She doesn't care what I do with my fun money. It's not in the budget.
But let's see. I guess we both go down real quick what we got. I mean, it's similar lengths of the list. So I got Deponia, The Complete Journey, which is technically 3 games. Brick Rigs, which I played a little bit. It's sandbox Lego. Think of it as basically BeamNG, only with Legos. I talked about that as one of the games I wanted to pick up. Stable Orbit, another one that I wanted to pick up, and that's my refund game. Wasn't impressed by it. Very shallow right now, and it just wasn't playable yet. And my rule for early access is that it has to at least be playable and somewhat fun.
Right.
A Celestial Command, which is barely over that line, because it's a little bit on the buggy side. This was the second time I bought this because I refunded it in the winter sale. I bought the remainders of the Blackwell series. The Blackwell Epimothy, Unbound, and Convergence, which are all really good point-and-click games. I played a little bit of Blackwell before, and it's something I want to go into at some point. Euro Truck Simulator 2 Cabin Accessories, just because, and honestly, it's one of those things that, yes, it is technically a cosmetic DLC, but it also adds the ability to add GPSs and that sort of thing to your cabin. So it's technically cosmetic, but there's some workshop stuff that makes it not. And also the base game does add GPS as well. 80 Days.
Good game, 80 Days. Good choice.
Yeah, that's probably going to be a Game Club game at some point. The Wolf Among Us, which we'll see if Life is Strange has completely ruined Telltale Games, because supposedly Wolf Among Us is the best of the crop if you don't like The Walking Dead, which I do not.
Yeah, I think Wolf Among Us is the best as well.
The Incredible Adventures of Van Helsing 3. Which it still sounds like it should be in a block with Xena Warrior Princess and the Incredible Adventures of Hercules. That early to mid 90s fantasy adventure.
Right.
And because I got the third game in the series, and I had the previous 2, it also gave me for free the Incredible Adventures of Van Helsing Final Cut, which is essentially the first 2 games remade in the engine of the third game, and it allows the character progression throughout all 3 games, because the third game made it so that you can't import your your character from the previous two because they changed too much in the character builds. So yeah, I got the final cut. I'll probably never play that outside of just getting the trading cards from it. Who knows? A Bird Story, which is definitely going to be a game club game at some point.
Yep.
Enter the Gungeon. Honey Pop, which is definitely going to be a game club game at some point, and some sort of talk on porn games.
Honey Pop.
Hard West and Hard West Scars of Freedom DLC, which is likely going to be on my channel at some point. Which it's a XCOM Wild West only with some Lovecraftian themes.
Okay.
It's supposed to be very good and very difficult. So I'll probably get annoyed with it and quit it. But it's something that I wanted to try. And we are starting to see some Western games come out again. But, the Western theme it's so perfect for video games. And not many people take good advantage of it. But, yeah, that's my list.
Sweet. Well, my list, Project Cars, and I bought the limited edition whatever that comes with not all, but a bunch of the DLC in the car packs. Starbound, which obviously I talked about a lot. Stars 1, I talked about that on our last non-Franken episode, and I did refund that game. That was one of the two games that I refunded. Tom Clancy's The Division, which I've obviously talked about at length twice now.
You have?
Defense Grid 2. Talked about that last week. Test Drive Unlimited 2. Really like Test Drive Unlimited 2. It's got some issues with its online connectivity, but I never want to play with anyone anyway, so I don't care. I just like to have a nice little sandbox game to drive around in, and I prefer...
that for you is basically what Brick Rigs and Eurotruck is for me right now.
Yeah, I just get supercars and drive around on nice islands.
I didn't realize it had a single player component. It seemed like everyone was always talking about the multiplayer component.
Well,
I was always concerned that the multiplayer would be shut down and I'd be stuck with another game that I couldn't play in my game library.
Well, the multiplayer component is like one half to the game, and the big selling point to a lot of people, just like the social drive clubs and stuff like that. But honestly, it's got a fully fleshed out single player component with like a race club and story missions. Test Drive Unlimited 2 has got 2 islands. You go to Hawaii and Madrid, I think. So, I mean, you can completely play it single player. The multiplayer, there's like a community server that people run, and then there's also the official server, which is online sometimes. But it doesn't receive full support, so occasionally you'll see a message where it's like, oh, this regular server's down. If anyone wants to play, here's how you connect to the community server. All your progress is fine. It'll be there, so.
Boy, that's a real selling point to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, the multiplayer server is up sometimes. Maybe.
Yeah. But I mean, like I said, I don't give a shit about the multiplayer. I just like to drive around, by myself. So. Then I got Remember Me. This is one that's been on my list for forever, that I mostly want to play entirely because of those dream sequences.
Yeah, I don't want to say too much because I had the game kind of spoiled for me. And I don't want to spoil it for you. Okay. But it's something that I've wanted to play, then I had it spoiled for me, and I didn't want to play it anymore.
Alrighty. I guess when I play it, I'll figure out what that was. Or you can at least tell me then. Then I got Event Horizon, which was like a little filler so I could hit like a $10 mark and get another trading card.
Yeah, that's what your truck cabin accessories was for me. Which I realized, it's some sort. It's just a psychological trick, and it's not that much money, but at the same time, it builds up.
Yeah, but Event Horizon is like a little sci-fi game. It's like you build a little fleet, you go kill other fleets. It's supposed to have an open world component. I don't know. I haven't touched it yet. At the very least, it's trading card fodder. Then I got Mimpy Dreams, which you talked about on a previous episode, like months ago. But I got this game to play with my kid.
I think he'll absolutely enjoy it.
Then I bought the original Portal. Even though I've played the original Portal, I don't own it on PC, so I need to get it for Game Club.
Yeah, which Game Club in 2 weeks for Portal and Portal 2.
Right? And then I got XCOM 2, the Digital Deluxe Edition. Love XCOM. Been wanting to play the second one. Should have picked it up last sale, but I didn't. Like, it was cheap enough for me, but for some reason I just didn't buy it, and I regretted it, so I bought it this time. Bought Warshift. I haven't checked it out yet, but that real-time strategy game where you can drop down and take control of individual units. Then I bought Enter the Gungeon. Normally I don't go for this sort of game, but I've talked about it before. Like, Enter the Gungeon just seemed interesting to me. We thought we might could do a game club on it or something. Torchlight 2, which you already mentioned, and the reason why. Transistor, that is probably going to be a game.
Yeah, definitely game club fodder there, because I haven't played through it all, but it's reminded me a lot of why I loved Bastion. Granted, it is technically a different genre game as well.
Yeah. Let's see. Torchlight 2, Transistor, Cold War as Gunslinger. That's been a game I've wanted to play for a while.
Very good game.
Motorsport Manager, which is racing, like you manage an F1 team. I love stuff like that. Space Run Galaxy. I've got the first Space Run. I like it. I wanted Galaxy, so I bought it.
I'm not sure if it has many players still playing that, but then again, it could be. A lot of Space Run Galaxy was focused on other players running your stuff back to like a home base, essentially. But that could also be automated, where the game is just saying, okay, well, this person is taking this, but it's just a bot.
Right.
So they could be fudging that a little bit. It's hard to tell.
Right. And then Bird Story, which we said we were going to do Game Club for. Then I got Dragon Commander, which is in the Divinity universe. Isn't it Divinity Dragon Commander?
Yeah, basically I mentioned a Divinity game that has a dragon with a jetpack on it, and you just were, yes.
Yeah. And then Cortex Command, it was like $1, and you talked about it, and I was like, well, it might be interesting for Game Club. Didn't you say it was like a dwarf fortress type of thing? I don't remember exactly what you told me.
It has the problem of Dwarf Fortress where the UI is very muddled and it doesn't convey a lot of information very well. So it can be very tough to get into. But it's sort of... Well, it depends on the level you're playing, because different levels have different objectives. Sometimes it's just, go kill the enemy. Sometimes it's a defensive mission. Sometimes you have to build up your economy. And it's a lot of fun. It's very, very tough to get into. And I can't remember if it has multiplayer or not.
I don't know. I haven't checked it out yet. I intended to play it while I was on my trip because it's, really simple in terms of
Well, it's simple graphics, but But it has a lot of simulation to the side of things where everything is physics based, where you could, in theory, dig out under your opponent's base and cause the entire thing to drop.
Yeah.
In theory, at least. Granted, they would be able to see that happening and would come in and kick your ass.
Yeah.
Let's see. I'm seeing if it does have multiplayer, because it says shared split screen multiplayer, so unfortunately I don't think it has any online multiplayer, which is disappointing, but understandable with how it's handled.
Right. But anyways, and then the last game that I bought was Lego Lord of the Rings, and that was a gift which I purchased for the one person who guessed right how many times that I cried during Brothers.
And who was it?
It was Ewan, whose Steam username is Tatty Boogie, or Tattle Boogie. So he got that as his reward. Actually, I sent him 3 games, but 2 of them were games that I already had, because it was like, he was the only one who guessed it right, and it was 3, so I was like, I'll send him 3 games. So I sent him 2 I already had sitting in my gift inventory that he did not own, and then I bought Lord of the Rings for him, Lego Lord of the Rings. And that is my list.
All right. Well, we did have a question of the week that, reflects on this, but also one other thing is that, was there anything that you wanted to pick up that you didn't? For me, it was Darkest Dungeon. I was expecting to go a bit deeper on discount, especially since it had its expansion just come out, but it was still sitting right at the $10 range, which is not a bad deal for it, but it felt like it should have been a little bit deeper discount.
For me, I actually spent a lot more money this Steam sale than I usually do, obviously from the total that I added up. And that's because I bought several games that I really wanted that weren't like super... I mean, they had like 50% or so discounts, like Project Cars, The Division, and XCOM 2 were all like 25 or 30 bucks a piece. And normally I don't do that, but I really wanted those games, so I bought them. The only game that I wish I would have bought, and I kind of like... it had slipped off on my radar, was Homeworld's Deserts of Karak. And it had, like, it just kind of slipped my mind, and then I remembered it, but the Steam sale was over.
Whoops.
So,
well, put it on the wish list so you'll lose it.
Yeah. So, that's the only game that I really wanted to buy that I didn't. But no, this was a really good Steam sale for me in terms of, like, buying games that I want, because used to the last few years when I haven't had as much money, as like I want to maximize my games per dollar ratio. But this time, you know, I've said this a couple times, like with my new job and everything, I've got a little bit more disposable income, and like, I mean, by no means am I rich. I wish I was, but you know, I have a little bit more, and I was like, you know what? I've got $100-something to just spend on video games if I want to. Fuck it. I'm going to buy a bunch of stuff that I really want that I usually don't, because it's more money than I'm willing to spend. So, it was a good sale for me.
Yeah, for me, it was more filling in things that I wanted to pick up, but also, you know, things that were still fairly cheap. I don't think I got anything that was terribly expensive. My biggest buys were probably in the $15-ish range.
Yeah.
But it was more just, you know, well, I wanted to try the Blackwell series, but I only have 1 and I think 4. So I'll just get 2, 3, and 5. And that sort of thing. And a couple Game Club games, of course. A couple of games that I want to do on the YouTube channel. Like Hard West is probably going to appear there at some point. And, you know, me get annoyed with it. Filling out some things like Euro Truck Simulator was just, yeah. That's one of the few cosmetic DLCs that add something. Brick Rigs was something that I wanted to play that I saw at one point that looked cool. Deponia is about the same thing, but also maybe on the YouTube channel as well. Celestial Command, something I wanted to try out. Stable Orbit, same thing, and it got refunded because of it. That sort of thing, you know. It's kind of it's a mixture of stuff I wanted to play that was cheap, stuff for the YouTube channel, and stuff for Game Club.
Right. Yeah. Makes sense.
And we did have our question of the week. What games did you pick up on the Steam sale? Was there anything that you wanted to buy but didn't? A Chemist. Wait, there was a Steam sale? Whoops. Ghost Shark. Too many to count. My poor wallet. Sad face. Kyle. I bought Arma 3 and I bought everyone that wanted it Planetary Annihilation Titans.
Right. He did buy me Planetary Annihilation Titans. Thank you very much, Kyle.
Be Cool was not expecting, but The Division had been a fun game. Jim, Steins Gate and a few cheap games for multiplayer. Didn't get Dirt Rally though, which Steins Gate is one I wasn't expecting him to pick up, and that's supposed to be one of the best reviewed visual novels on Steam. And let's see, Mel's. Wanted to pick up Slime Rancher, but I need to finish Fallout 4 first before I get distracted by QQ. I did buy Far Harbor expansion, though.
Far Harbor.
And that's it for, well, our first question of the week. We have another one later. And, well, if you wish to respond to our question of the week this week, it'll be on our Twitter, Gaming with CR is me, but... VGL podcast for the question of the week. Maybe I'll retweet it on my thing and get some people to show up. Because I rarely retweet.
I do. Lots of stuff. Including podcast stuff, too. I retweet podcast stuff a decent amount, I think.
Well, maybe it's just, it feels like I'm retweeting myself because I'm usually the one doing the podcast stuff.
Yeah, maybe. Although, the occasional time that I will tweet something out, will immediately go retweet it with my own account, so... I don't know.
Well, you're just a lot more shameless than me.
I am a lot more shameless, that's very true.
So we are finally through games, and it only took us 2.5 hours.
Yeah. A very, very games-heavy podcast. That's good.
So, should we talk about a game service?
Yeah, let's do that.
Jump. Hey, some news!
Yeah, some news. Jump, the indie streaming service. The actual news article title was a lot longer. You can play indie gaming. It's coming for $10 per month.
I'm sorry, but the fact that we started the exact same time, at least to my ears.
Yeah, that'll probably be synced up on its own without me having to do anything.
And then I just start cackling. Oh, this is an interesting thing. I'm not sure about it, though. Mostly because a lot of these all-you-can-eat buffet-style game services are usually sold on the fact that they have this AAA game, or that AAA game, or this studio, or this or that studio. And this is going on indie games, which usually are a hell of a lot cheaper.
Yeah, but this service is also a lot cheaper compared to other of these streaming services that we've seen before. True. It's $10 a month, and you get unlimited access to the indie games, although there's not a list up at this point. Based on some of the images they have on their site, we think that they have games like The Bride, Always Sometimes Monsters, All Men Must Die, Dungeon Souls.
Well, they're claiming that they're going to be starting with 60-plus games. Endless enjoyment from roguelike dungeon crawlers to artsy platformers to 8-bit narrative puzzlers, turn-based strategies. We have it all. For release summer 2017, closed beta game count will vary. If you have a direction for more than 4 hours, please do not show it off.
Yeah, so, I mean, I've said before, I'm a huge fan of this idea of having, like, a Netflix for video games.
Yeah, it just seems so strange on how they're doing it.
Yeah. I think that some of the problems that these services we've talked about having before, like the bandwidth necessary and that sort of thing, I think that they'll get around that with indie games, because by and large, indie games are a lot less graphically intensive and a lot less control input intensive, except for certain...
What they're getting around that is that this is not a video streaming service, that you are not playing off their servers. What they're doing is some sort of strange streaming. Well, there is still streaming, but they're streaming the files to you, and they're calling it Hyperjump. Which
it probably is loading all of those files into your cache on your system, either just straight into RAM or maybe VRAM, something like that. Or it could, I guess, potentially be a temporary folder.
It's just strange that they're doing no permanent downloads or installs, but they're not doing the streaming video either. So it really... how is the indie games going to work with this? Do they have to be especially redone, essentially, or to be built for this service? Or are they only focusing on games that are, like, under a gig?
I wonder if they have them all packaged into, like, ROMs, and then you just... that gets put into... RAM, and then it just plays it that way, or treats it like it is another disc temporarily on your computer, and then when you're done playing, it just auto deletes.
Yeah, it's just such a strange service. They are talking about adding 6 to 10 games a month, though, which, if they could keep this going, because we've seen Humble Bundle just explode with indie games. Most of the time. I mean, sometimes they have utter crap bundles as well, but if they are able to get some of the bigger titles on here, bigger titles for indie games, of course. I mean, that's really where they're going to have the issue, is if they're able to draw enough eyes to be able to get off the ground, because this is an expensive service to be able to host that much data.
Yeah.
And if they don't have the bandwidth to be able to service the files well, since there's no permanent downloads whatsoever, it's just, this is such a gamble, isn't it? I mean, granted, it's not nearly as much of a gamble as OnLive was, where it was all video and you had your latency from you to the server on how well you were playing. So it's not nearly as dependent on having data services. Well, in the US at least, I would say at least 4 data servers would have to be in place to be able to service the US with some sort of streaming video service. Basically 1 per time zone, and that's being bare bones at least.
Yeah, unless they do it's the type of file sharing. Netflix does this too, where and Hulu and I think Prime Video, where it's like if you're streaming something and someone else wants to stream the thing that you're streaming,
peer to peer,
you'll do peer to peer and share it with them as well. They might do something like that, but in order for that to work properly, they have to have a pretty big saturation.
Downloads. Yeah, well, there's no permanent downloads as well, so it's whatever you're actively playing.
Yeah, they would need to have a pretty big saturation for that to work. So, realistically, probably a minimum of 20 to 50,000 subscribers in order to make that work, so that you've got enough coverage on all the games for your peer-to-peer system to work well. But yeah, I like the idea. I love the idea of these streaming services. Indie games don't get. I mean, indie games get a lot of love in a lot of ways, but for this sort of thing, everyone always is going for the big AAA whatever.
Yeah,
and so it's nice to see.
I can easily see why it's the AAAs that do it, because those are the big whales of our gaming markets, and everyone knows Shadow of Mordor, for example. But how many people are going to know about Super Meat Boy? And Super Meat Boy is probably one of the better examples of a big indie game.
Yeah. So,
or let's just pull Celestial Commander, Enter the Gungeon. To that I've been playing recently. Not many people would know all 3 of those.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm signed up for beta access right now, so we'll see if I get in. But I really like this idea. I hope it works out. Somewhere, someone is going to crack this streaming thing, and when they do, it'll become a much more viable option. And maybe this is the way to go. Indie games do get around several of the problems that the services have, like in terms of streaming and file sizes and input lag, and the way that they're doing it, which we like we said, we assume that would be some sort of like it's stored in cache on your system somewhere and accessed directly from that would help get around things like input lag and such as that. So
but I also can't help but think of the coincidence that we're talking about this on Net Neutrality Day.
That is true.
And it really comes down to if a big service, if a service does make it big, they're going to get hammered for bandwidth.
Yeah.
And that's where the net neutrality angle comes in.
Yep. Oh hey,
it's hard to be a blanket on that one, but I'm just the coincidence is not lost on me.
Yeah. We'll see if I get accepted into the beta program. If I do, I'll check this out this week and I can report back on it next week. I mean, I suppose you could sign up too. Maybe you could get beta access.
Yeah, I guess I'll try it out. I mean, may as well.
Oh, right? Hey. All you have to do is sign up. Welcome to the Jump beta. Well, all right. Sweet. Download the file. It's like 100 megabytes.
Welcome to the beta portion of the podcast.
So yeah, I guess we'll report back on this next week and see if we can figure out anything more about the service and see how well it does. I'm just going to close this. I don't want to install it or anything in case it fucks up the recording in some way. But yeah, I'll check that out this week. or will check that out this week. Coolio.
It was just an interesting thing that came up on the news feed because we're in the post E3 drought of news.
Yeah. Yeah, we're going to talk about some general topics for the next few weeks in case we have more weeks like this. We got lucky in the fact that we talked about games for 2 fucking hours this week to eat up a bunch of show time. Otherwise, this would have been a really short show. I mean, I'm still going to get it edited, but the main reason we're like, we'll just leave it is so that'd be easier for me to edit and get ready in time. Especially with my hectic work week, which you know about, Rage. I'm not going to talk too much about what happened since this is much, much broader, and I'd hate for, even though it's a tiny chance, I'd hate for anything to get back. But yeah, there was some crazy shit that went down while I was gone on vacation, and my week has just been a mess at the office.
Doesn't your boss listen to the show?
My boss does listen to the show, so I definitely should not talk about it. My boss and one of my coworkers. So yeah, I definitely should not talk about it. If you're listening right now, Angel, I didn't tell them anything. Wink.
Bullshit.
No, it's fine. It's fine. It's fine. All right. Well, now that we've both signed up for the beta and got that out of the way, let's move on to our Community Corner, which no emails this week, but we do have tweets and the other question of the week.
Yes, we do. The other question of the week was, what is your favorite boss battle in a video game? And it was pretty much what I expected out of our audience, to be perfectly honest.
Yeah, I didn't look at the tweets, but I was able to guess everyone's answer.
Basic answers.
Yeah, I mean basic. I wasn't specific, but I got everyone's basic answer.
See, Groove, the Kraken, and KSP, obviously. And Ghost Shark, this. Which, Groove, the real battle is me. Your overseer. Now get back to work.
Poor Groove.
Oh no, poor Groove is coming up. Oh. Yes, poor Groove. Let's just put it this way. His heart wasn't into things.
Okay.
Okay, so moving swiftly along from my rather ominous comment on Groove's future. Kyle. Dido, Lord of the Dead from Dark Souls. Really fun. Flags his attacks wells, while still challenging, but fair. Jim and KSP, returning from Eve without using any gimmicky ships, refueling, excessive amounts of asparagus staging, etc. It was difficult and 100% skill. I flew past Eve once. And Chemist, every single Necrodancer boss, with possible exception of Coral Reef, or Riff. Coral Riff, sorry, it would be a musical term. As it's way too easy. I really need to play that at some point. Okay, tweets.
Wait, hang on. Did we answer this question last time? I don't remember, because I felt like I...
No, we didn't, and I'm not sure if I really have one. Everyone always talks about, the best boss ever being Mr. Freeze in Batman Arkham City, and I honestly didn't like it.
I didn't play Batman Arkham City.
It felt like a bit too gimmicky for me, and that's the thing, is that I think the biggest boss for me that I really enjoyed was getting over that learning curve in Dwarf Fortress, since we're using arbitrary game mechanics.
Right. I think my favorite boss battle of all time was the first time I fought Bowser in Super Mario 64. Because, I was a kid, and it was but I couldn't beat him. I was so mad, and then I finally, however old I was, 6, 7, whatever year old me was oh, you gotta throw him into the bombs, and it was that childhood wonder and discovery. And
well, I guess if you want my true answer, I would say probably some of the Burning Crusade raids. Lady Vash, where the raid has to split up and stand on the various steps and toss a bomb, essentially, from one person to the next, was a very cool mechanic that I never saw again. Kale had it where you eventually had to equip these special weapons, and it was just a very hectic fight. And of course, there was also, things like the chess encounter in Karazhan was also a lot of fun. But yeah, maybe I'm cheating on doing raid stuff because a lot of that is the social interaction as well.
Yeah, I think my more recently as an adult, I think my favorite boss battle is the fight with Saren at the end of Mass Effect 1. Because there's several ways you can handle the first phase of that fight, and you can actually defeat him without having to fight him. And I really like that, the game takes, like, if you've got the right skills and have, played through and done all the things right, you can get him to kill himself before he transforms. So you don't have to fight him the first time. And I just really like that. It's like, oh, I can win this boss fight without having to fire a single shot. I can make the boss kill himself.
Yeah, there was a couple like that in the Fallout series that does that as well.
Yeah.
The President in Fallout 3, and I think the final boss at either Fallout 1 or 2 does it as well. Just, be able to have the, not even the non-violent, but the non-combat option.
Right.
That's something a lot of games don't do these days. It's always, the violent option. Which, yes, I've realized. Convincing someone to kill themselves is technically, not the non-violent option, but still.
Right. Well, I mean, it's like, combat mechanics are generally thought of as more fun. So, why would we give you the option to skip the more fun thing? Well, it's not always more fun for everybody. But, yeah, that's definitely my kind of two favorite boss fights that I can just pull from right off the top of my head.
Yeah, and for me, it's, a lot of these just random raids, which is technically still a boss fight. But, it's also working together with a group of usually 24 other people.
Yeah.
And that's honestly the one thing in WoW that I really miss still is, having those big, huge encounters. The Lich King fight was also really fun. Tough, but fun the first time. Then you get that, almost got you moment of towards the end of it. Well, I guess I could say it because, it doesn't matter if I spoil it or not, but at about 10% health, he does a raid wipe, and there's no way to avoid it. And then you have essentially a in-game cutscene to revive everyone. And the first time we did it, we specifically didn't tell some people, and they released and missed the last of the fight. Or the flip side of that is that, okay, well, I played a shaman, and the shaman class has the ability to self-res. Well, they have a debuff on everyone to prevent that for a short time, but the debuff doesn't last as long as the cutscene. So, usually the Lich King fight would be the end of the raid night. So I pop my self-res and I start beating the living shit out of the Lich King while everyone's still dead.
Nice.
And I thought it was hilarious because usually I also pop all my abilities at the same time. So I'm just sitting there wailing on him.
Well done. Well done. Beating the system.
Yeah, you think you could kill me? Well, let's see you do that again within the next hour. Oh. And let's see, tweets. Let's see, we only have a handful that didn't fall into the question of the weeks, or questions of the weeks. Jim, Steam Discovery Queue. Let me show you all 800,000 early access survival crafting games, one at a time. Granted, there is a way to filter those out, but once again, that relies on Steam tags, so... Million Lights. So, my second guest on Jared's crying 3 times was right, but I guess that makes him ineligible because it was a second guest, right?
Correct, Mundo.
And VGL Podcast, thanks for RIP headphone users moment. Whoops. Usually I do a normalization on at least my audio, but I guess it wasn't enough. And also there was some timestamp issues. I guess I got the rough draft of your timestamps, and all the timestamps were wrong in the show notes for about a day until I saw that tweet.
Yeah.
So in the future, if you do that, I guess just put note rough draft or something,
Yeah, I can do that.
Let's see, Jim. When you start your Steam wishlist when you sort your Steam wishlist by price, it puts free-to-play games at the end, implying a higher cost than fixed-price games. Which responded, well, they're not technically wrong on that.
Yeah,
that isn't untrue. Which Jim responded to, I just found it to be surprisingly consumer-friendly, though they do have an interest in you buying games rather than playing free-to-play ones, which I do see that. And we had one last tweet that was actually done today from Adam Smasher, which I think that's someone new. Any way to get this on Stitcher? Well, Almighty Editor.
I guess I can put it on Stitcher.
Yep, and that is all our tweets and the questions of the weeks. If you wish to email us, which we do accept text or audio emails, you can send them to vglpodcast@gmail.com or just tweet us, VGL Podcast on Twitter. So, are we going to do Discovery Queue? Might as well at this point, right?
I mean, we can. We also don't have to. It doesn't really matter.
Might as well. I mean, let's get over the 3-hour mark fully.
Okay. Well, it's your turn to talk about music.
What? As in you hitting it?
Yeah.
And I immediately get one for us. The End is Nigh, the latest Edmund McMillan game. Essentially, it reminds me a lot of Super Meat Boy. Just in the style of it. Here, I'll drop it on my list so you can see it. I mean, this is definitely, going on the wish list.
Okay. Scroll all the way down. The End is Nigh.
Yeah, The End is Nigh. It's not completely Super Meat Boy-ish, but it definitely has that vibe to it for me, at least in some of the levels. And it's a game by Edmund McMillan, so that's pretty much all you need to know, really. It's going to be very difficult. It's going to be a tough platformer, but also a lot of fun.
Yeah, so my first game is called Animallica, and it is a survival crafting game, but it's got a premise I've never seen before. You're the last surviving human on Earth, and your goal is to preserve as many animal species as you can in the post-apocalypse.
Huh. That is really interesting.
Yeah.
And I'm assuming it's going to be single player, because if that's multiplayer, that kind of breaks the premise.
Yeah. Yeah, in Animallica, you're racing against extinction. As the lone survivor of the last conservation center on Earth, the fate of every single species of plant and animal lies in your hands.
That is really interesting.
Yeah.
And see, that's why we have the Discovery Queue.
Yeah.
And on the flip side of things, I got Tony Hawk's Pro Skater HD, which by the time this podcast comes out is going to be off of Steam, because they're pulling it. So, yeah, it's just one of those things that, yeah. Oh, and I never mentioned that the first game showed up. Here's the weird thing. The End is Nigh didn't showed up because I played Gunmetal Armadica and 140. It doesn't mention Super Meat Boy.
I guess it doesn't care about your Super Meat Boy. I forgot to see what Animallica, why it showed up for me. Similar to games you've played. There's several survival crafting games in here. Although the first one is Space Engineers. That seems odd to me. But, I guess it's because Space Engineers was my most played survival crafting game on Steam.
What is this? Okay, I'm going to have to put this on the list. It's called Antihero. It is some sort of multiplayer strategy game. It looks like it may be a local multiplayer only, though. No, it says full online multiplayer. Recruit street urchins, hire thugs, start a street gang, upgrade your guild, steal everything, and bribe, blackmail, and assassinate your way to victory. It looks a lot like a mobile game, though. So it may not be all that great. There's a link for you, Jared.
All right.
Maybe it's just the where everything is large on screen. It starts to feel like a mobble game. And
maybe
it's a fast-paced turn-based game. It does have some very negative reviews on it, though.
All right. So I got one, Furious Angels. It's a score attack sci-fi, looks like a top-down twin-stick shooter type game, but it does the whole race the sun thing, where that every day you get new challenges and things like that to compete in. It's not very expensive either. It's only $7.
Yeah, well, I got another one. Starship Theory. This is an early access game. It looks a lot like it's drawing inspiration from FTL, where you're trying to survive and build up your spaceship. But it doesn't look like it's quite the same idea, going from node to node. And this is saying similar to games you played. RimWorld. I'm going to say no. They throw out some weird things. Starship Theory is a shipbuilding survival game. You begin with 4 survivors lost in unknown space. I mean, it does sound very interesting, but the fact that they throw RimWorld in there just got me laughing. I think I saw... who did I see playing this? Was it Dos Valdez that was playing this at one point? Because I definitely saw this being streamed from someone that I follow on Twitch at one point. And it doesn't look bad. It does look like it's still in very early access, though. And it's definitely not a graphical powerhouse at all.
Did you drop the link, Brett?
Yeah. It's just, I have it.
Starship Theory. Huh. Looks neat. Put that on my wish list. Oh, it's already on my wish list. I must have seen it during the sale, because I did quite a few discovery queues for trading cards.
Yeah, and that's one thing, is that they didn't force, but they encouraged you to do a lot of discovery queues.
Yeah.
Let's see. Ooh. Just got another one. Monsters Den Godfall. There's a link for you. This is a dungeon crawling RPG. It's supposedly from an older series that I don't recall ever seeing this series. Maybe I'm just missing out on it. Procedural generation, because I think against procedural generation, but when it's very high on the feature list, it's a suspect whenever they're talking about RPGs.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll definitely put it on my wish list to check out at some point. It's not that expensive of a game. It looks like it's you have a very large party, though. It looks like maybe 6 people, maybe more. Similar to games you played, Renowned Explorers, so roguelite, which probably isn't wrong there. It's interesting. It's not something I think I'm going to rush to get, but, something to check out later.
Yeah. I'm done with my queue. I had a pretty garbage queue this week. Probably did too many discovery queues during the sale, because, I mean, like I said, two or three times I've, been through every single game on Steam, so I probably got through a bunch of good stuff during the sale and am now back to garbage for a few weeks.
Oh, don't worry, the Steam Direct is coming out, so we'll have the garbage coming out as well, and that wraps my discovery queue. Because I got... Let's put it this way. I got Sacred 3. That's a terrible, terrible game. But, yeah, I think I'm going to go play Ride in the Elevator again.
Okay.
So, quick break while we get in the elevator, and then we wrap up the show.
Sure. I don't have to go to the elevator, I also can start talking about what's coming up on my YouTube channel.
Hey, you're actually going to be chattering away for once.
Yeah, I'll do that. You go to the bathroom, and I'll talk about what's coming up on my channel. So, what is coming up on my YouTube channel? Well, I'm back from my vacation and getting back into the swing of things. I scheduled the missing VGL episodes already. They should all be out before Friday, before this one, so that the order doesn't get messed up on my YouTube channel. I suppose if something does go wrong, I can fix those later in the playlist, because you can rearrange the order of videos. But everything should be out before then, and I should be back on track with that. Also, I've released some stream archives and got those set up until I get rolling again on my my other YouTube series that I want to be working on. And other than that, except for some Divinity, I got slightly behind, so I should be caught up to be in line with Rage for Divinity starting next week. And if you want to see that content on my YouTube channel, you can do so by searching for Gaming Psychologist on YouTube, finding it there. I hit the triple digits while I was on my trip, so thank you very much to anyone who has subbed to me that listens to this podcast. Really appreciate it. Get me in triple digits. Hopefully I don't drop back down to doubles, but either way, things are looking up for me on my YouTube channel. I was very happy. I guess I'm going to put this podcast up on Stitcher since we got a request for that. And I'm also working on something secretive that I haven't quite exactly figured out how it works yet. But it is... Where's my phone? I run the danger of getting the clicky noise. But anyway...
Which I could then tell you about because I just sit back down.
Indeed. All I'll say is Anchor. Anyone who knows what Anchor is will know what I'm talking about, and anyone who doesn't, well, once I get it figured out exactly, you'll know what it is. But I'll be talking about that more in the next few weeks as I move forward and get that figured out. Beyond that, if you want to follow me on Twitter, you can do so at JMA4707. I tweet about all kinds of things. Today specifically, I was complaining about Charter. They contacted me again and were like, hey, we've got some deals for you. And I was like, no, I don't want your deals. Your internet service is too expensive and the service goes out all the time. But whatever. It's still cheaper to just use the internet and Netflix and Hulu and Amazon Prime than it is to pay for your shitty cable and phone service as well. Go away. I also tweet about other things like politics and video games. And all of that, once again, can be found at JMA4707 on Twitter. And now that I'm back from my trip, there will be streams again starting Fridays regularly. I don't know what we're going to be streaming this Friday. I got to sit down and look at the multiplayer list and figure out who bought what games. And I'm going to create a rotation and put that list up somewhere that anyone can go look at it and see what's going on. And I will continue to send out reminders. And if you want to watch me stream games or participate, it is twitch.tv/jarthur4707. And also, if you want to be a friend on Steam, my Steam username is jarthur4707. I accept all friend requests. So far, everyone has been totally and completely cool. And I love all of you lovely, lovely people out there listening to this podcast.
And if you wish to let them know exactly what episode of the podcast you just finished listening to, the password for this week is Periwinkle.
Nice.
Periwinkle.
That's good. That's a good one.
Well, when do I not have good ones?
Sometimes you have ones that are less good, and this one is more good, so I guess it would be great.
Ah.
What about you, buddy?
I have the best words.
The best words.
Oh, well, let's see. On my YouTube channel, still running at, well, 2 of the 3 series going. I planned on getting Divinity up and running. Then I just could not get to the damn page to set up Divinity for me. So, yeah, I figured, another week wouldn't hurt at this point. Oh. Yeah, it kept airing out. It kept timing out. And just fuck it. So, still running just Quantum Conundrum, which I'm on the 3rd of 3 wings. So, I should be wrapping that up in the next few weeks. And I need to figure out exactly what I want to play beyond that. And RimWorld, the series that just will not end. Well, in theory. Well, I know more about that, but I don't want to say too much. Let's just put it this way. We've had some people get maimed recently. Well, in the last episode that went up, Henrelic lost his leg. I hope you weren't too attached to that.
Nice.
But don't worry, I gave you a nice shiny bionic one, so you're hobbling around, like 125% speed, going laps around Groove, because you're now Hollow Bitch, as well as Groove. But yeah, RimWorld, I'm starting to figure out mods for next time, because the reset is coming. It's just you don't know when or why. Well, you may figure out why if you go through my tweets, but still. Anyway, that's that. The Sunday Sampler appears Sundays at noon, usually. I mean, I did miss a week, but that was due to surgery. I do have a big project I want to work on for the Sunday Sampler, but it's just, sitting down and doing it and getting enough game time in that particular game. And usually I also get something somewhat interesting to try out. And then it just disappoints me as per usual. I mean, just look at Infinite Mini Golf. Oh, that was such a disappointment. What can I say? Especially after seeing it was from Zen Studios. I mean, that put, expectation high, right?
Very high.
Yeah, and it just crashed even further. Anyway, you can catch all that, including this podcast, there Friday at noon on Gaming with Caffeine Rage, or you could see me tweet either about my Bluetooth speaker saga, which I'm still fighting with customer support about, or, I right before the podcast started, I asked sort of a rhetorical question. Is the opposite of a sweet tooth a sourpuss?
Yeah, probably.
The fact that I got a good chuckle out of that means something, at least.
That's a good one.
You can find that all over at Gaming with CR. I'm sorry, no Twitch. At least just yet. Maybe once I get a second monitor so I could monitor things. Yeah, because a monitor does monitor things. That's the entire point of a monitor. And monitor's starting to sound a little weird at this point. So we'll say, well, if you wish to contact us for some reason, you could find us over at vglpodcast@gmail.com with your letters, voicemails, and gaming-related topics, or just tweet us, VGLPodcast, on Twitter. If you wish to help pay for this absolute madness, our Patreon is patreon.com/VGLPodcast. And hey, we at least put out content. I got a spammer this week that had literally no content, and their Patreon was, I'm hoping to do a YouTube someday. And he had 120 some patrons. I just sat there and looked at it and thought, why? Oh.
Maybe we should do that. We want to do something else. Give us more money.
We want to do a podcast.
We want to do another podcast.
Let's see. Our website, if you wish to catch us, is vglpodcast.podbean.com. Right there you can find our RSS feed and show notes. And if you wish to listen to us off of YouTube, you can find us over there, as well as iTunes, Google Play, or hopefully Stitcher at some point. Our intro music and outro music is On the Ground by Kevin McLeod, and our Discovery Cue music is Doobly Doo. And you can find his work at incompetech.com. And
as always, as his lovely music starts to roll across my voice. Bye-bye now.
See ya.